let's talk about general gaming news to start with. I think a couple things happened late last week that were quite illuminating. Sorry about the bright light, but my computer screen over here is really bright today. And I think one of the things I wanted to start with is let's just talk about games that got some either, trailer videos or release dates announced. Why don't you go ahead and start with the Cold Steel East 9 ones? We've, I think, briefly talked about these, but we haven't actually sat down and had a topic about either of these games, just because I don't really play
Yeah,
Cold Steel. So
yeah. I mean, I think it would be tough to have a topic about it because, well, there's a lot to talk about,
yeah,
and
it's a lot of stuff.
you haven't played the Trails games. But anyways, you have played East 8,
I have.
which you enjoyed.
I did.
I am currently playing East 8. Actually, I've played a couple of the other past East games, but I'm playing East 8 right now. But anyways, early last week, I want to say like Tuesday, uh, NIS NISA or NIS America announced their localization. Well, sorry. They announced a while ago the localization for Cold Steel 4.
Okay.
They announced the release date last week, which is, I want to say, they said October 27th of this year. We already knew it was going to be this year. Um, but October 27th of this year will be The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not a game you want to jump into if you haven't played the previous three.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of lore and details to learn by playing the first three. They're very story and character driven games. So if you haven't played the first three, I don't recommend it in the slightest, but I do recommend the first three highly. Um, but yeah, I mean it's the end of the Cold Steel arc of the
Oh,
story.
this is the last
So
one
the
officially of
last
this. Okay.
the last game of the Erebonia arc
Okay.
of the Legend of the Trails series, and that is the third completed arc in the series.
Got it.
First one being Sky, then there's the Crossbell games, which are that's a duology. It's two games, but those have not been localized to the U.S. And then there's the four Cold Steel games.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Gotcha.
and so that is nice if you're a fan of Nihon Falcom and their games and the Trails series. And the other one that they announced also being localized by NISA and IS America is East 9 Monstrum Nox, which was released last year in Japan in September or so, I want to say.
Yep.
And yeah, they announced that they are working on the localization for that and that they're going to get a Western release. I don't think it's this year. I think they
Uh,
announced it's
okay.
next year
Sometime next year.
for PS4, Switch,
Wait.
um,
Oh, because it was already a release
and
with PS4 and Switch.
and
Okay.
Steam. Same thing with sorry, Cold Steel 4. I think both of them are coming to PS4 first and then like
And
a
then
little bit
going to PS5.
after cuz Cold Steel 3 came out on PS4 in October last year.
Mm-hmm.
The Steam version came out in like April and the Switch version I think just came out this week
Okay.
for Cold Steel 3.
Gotcha.
So they're going to be staggered. It's going to be PS4 first, and then probably Steam, and then Switch, or maybe
Got it.
Steam and Switch at the same time. I'm not sure,
Got it.
but
Sounds good. And then for other news regarding like game, we'll call it like reveals, I think is the appropriate term. The one that got really controversial, which I don't know how deep I want to get into this, but Pokemon had their own little like direct. I don't know what it's called, but they had their own like basically the equivalent of a direct show, and they talked about a couple of other types of games that were coming off, not like necessarily mainline series games, but they had like something like Pokemon Cafe, which is like a mobile game, I guess. I didn't pay attention to that one that much. New Pokemon Snap, I think we mentioned before. They had talked about that, but then another thing came out as well, among some of the other stuff I'm sure they talked about, and this one got really controversial for a couple of reasons. Pokemon Unite was a thing that got announced. It's a mobile specific mobile devices and Switch mobile specific MOBA title, obviously with Pokemon as the characters that you choose. So this is this was like for me in particular. I feel like this is something that I, I I'm surprised they hadn't tried to do like years ago, because it just feels like it would work pretty well. It like stacks well too, with like evolutions, being leveling up and getting evolutions as you level up. There's a couple of things that people are kind of concerned about. So this is a partnership with Tencent, and I think people were just concerned about the fact that nobody really asked for this in people's opinions. This was something that feels like late, coming really late to the party. Like, not just late, but you're super late to the party.
Yeah, the MOBA craze I feel like was like 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
ago, where like everyone was making their own MOBA because
Mm-hmm.
League of Legends blew up, so everyone was making their own MOBA, and that was 4 or 5 years ago, and now all of a sudden Pokemon's like, oh, we're gonna make a MOBA. It's like, what?
It was like,
Okay,
okay,
I guess.
you're about 5 years late to that party. So they're 5 years late to the party, and I think one of the main concerns was just the fact that it's like, okay, we're working with Tencent. You're doing a MOBA. The only reason this is going to work out is because China loves these types of games. The
The mobile the
mobile
mobile MOBAs are
are
pretty
really
popular
popular,
in China, from what I hear.
and I do think that there will be an audience for this everywhere else. I think people are going to play this. I think on the Switch, I'd be curious to see how it plays. I'm not going to play this on my phone. I'm sorry. And it's weird because the way that you play, without going into too much detail, because this isn't what the episode's about, but you don't kill towers by actually doing damage to them. You catch wild Pokemon in the jungle area and then turn them in, and that's how the towers are destroyed. It's kind of a confusing.
And they're not really towers. They don't attack you normally. They're just like they're heal points for the other team. Like
Right.
the other team can stand there and heal on that, I think.
I
That's
get
how it
so it's
works.
like
And I assume you
already.
have to destroy them kind of in order like you do in a MOBA, but they
Yeah,
didn't go into that either. So
I'm just like it's I don't know. I'm like kind of I I'm gonna probably try it, but I'm not seeing much of an appeal for this for
yeah,
even MOBA fans. It doesn't even seem like a MOBA I'd get into if I was a MOBA
yeah,
fan.
I don't know. What they showed didn't look terrible to me. I was like, all right, this might be fun for a bit. Like it doesn't look that bad, but from what I heard, the big disappointment with this announcement was so they had the previous Pokemon Direct or Pokemon Presents, whatever they
Right.
call it, the week before, so
Mhm.
2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and they announced Snap and Cafe and the other few little things that they announced in that one. We were
Sure.
like, all right, this was like, they didn't announce a major full on Pokemon title, but these were cute little things. We're excited to have Pokemon Snap back. Yeah, this was great.
Yeah.
And then partway through that week, they announced, "Oh, we're having another
Yeah. That
Pokemon
was a yeah.
Presents next week. Big announcement next week." And it was a 10-minute presents on only Pokemon Unite. People got their hopes up. They're like, "Oh man, it's either going to be like the next Let's Go game, Let's Go Johto, or it was going to be a Diamond Pearl remake." People
Sure.
were
Yeah. People
convinced it was
wanted
going to
that.
be
Yeah.
one of those two things, which is like basically a mainline Pokemon game or close enough to a mainline Pokemon
Right.
game. And we got Pokemon Unite, and people were pissed
Yeah, I mean,
because they
yeah.
were
The
let down.
anticipation, the anticipation was for something that they didn't get, and like I said, I, I'm not like enough of a fan to care, but I'm like, uh, you got to read the room, and I don't think they read the room well on this one. So,
Yeah, and
this was a
people
bad one.
people were just like, why didn't they put this in the one they did last week? Why did they make this its own thing? Maybe the trailer just wasn't ready. Maybe they were still like filming it or something like that, and that's why they had to split it up. But then in that case, why didn't they just push the other direct back another week
Right.
and put them together? I
I don't
just
know.
don't know. It
Definitely a misread of the audience on this one. So
Yeah,
Pokemon took an L.
exactly.
They took
The
an L.
biggest things I was hearing from that is like disappointment and just like, yeah, Nintendo and a Pokemon company are just like tone deaf. This is like not what we want. We don't care about
Right.
this. We hate Tencent. And as you said, this game will probably make a lot of money,
Oh, it's gonna
let's
make a
be
ton of
honest,
money. A
because
ton.
it'll be popular at least in China. And I'm sure there'll be some people in the West that at least try it. Um
There will, of
so
course.
it probably will be a moneymaker, but
They'll make a lot.
the
It'll make money.
mainline hardcore Pokemon crowd is like, all right, but where's our real Pokemon
Right.
game? Like,
That's the
this
thing.
is
Like,
cute. This is cute, but
it,
where's my DP remake and
and it,
where's my Let's Go 2?
and if I wanted a MOBA game, I kind of want more of a MOBA experience. This feels way too like catered to kids, and the Pokemon is always like that. I get it, but
It's
come on, like really, this seems like really dumbed down and it's stupid. I'm sorry, it looks kind of stupid to some extent. This is also where, as a side comment, this is where our resident data person should have scraped YouTube comments and tried to pick out wording of YouTube comments that was safe for work, we'll say. This is
oh
where the
man,
resident
the
data
like
person should have done that.
I watched an Angry Joe video on this, and like the like dislike ratio on that video was like 10K to
Horrible.
60K or
Horrible.
something
Yeah,
like
it was
that on
horrible.
like dislike ratios. Like they got smashed.
Yeah, they
Like
yeah.
jeez.
Resident data person, that's what you need to scrape is Pokemon Unite next time if you have time to do so and want to do it. But anyway, other stuff. I put this in here. I saw this on Twitter. Ubisoft's coming with a battle royale game, and I literally do not care at all. I could give. I've decided, by the way, for Myriacast. I apologize. I don't want to make a bandit upset. I'm going to swear a little bit more today. This is like my day. I want to kind of like use a
Uh
couple
oh.
curse words.
Auto
I don't
auto
give
un auto uncorked.
I don't
Here
give
we go.
Ubisoft like put this thing on Twitter. They like had like some teaser website. I don't give two shits about it. I don't care about it at all. I have zero interest in it. Anytime somebody talks about a battle royale, it puts me to sleep. It's really bad. So they put this out there. I saw it on Twitter. It's called Hyperscape. I couldn't even tell you what that even means in context. At least it's like some of the other games you can sort of pick up some things. I don't know. It's
Again, it's not as late as Pokemon Unite, but they're like a year or two late on the BR craze. Like
yeah,
they're a
about
little
a year
they're
or
a
two.
little late to the party. Like Apex was like the very end of the BR craze. Or we're past it after Apex. Apex came out what, January last year, 2019.
Something like that.
So
It's a good Apex is a good game as a battle royale. It is a good game. I enjoyed playing it, but if
that
somebody were to
yeah.
say Hyperscape to me, I just get a frown on my face and be like, "Why would you
Oh,
bring that up in a normal conversation? I don't want to
also
hear
no
about Hyperscape."
also knowing Ubi, it's gonna be littered with microtransactions that are pay to
Oh,
win.
it's gonna be horrible.
Buy skill points, buy EXP, buy guns. Jedi Shark says Warzone is pretty healthy right now.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
it is.
mean,
I'm sure it is. I don't play
every
Warzone. I'm sure it is though.
it seems like the Call of Duty games. That seems like that's going to be a thing now, where each Call of Duty game is going to have its own battle royale, and people will play that one, and then when the next Call of Duty game
Sure.
comes out, they're going to do another one, and that's fine, and that's the Call of Duty crowd, and they can do that.
I've
So
seen it too. I don't think it's that bad, really. I'm just saying I'm not a big BR person. I thought Apex Legends was like the closest I'll play to it. Warzone looks like it's in a good place. It seems really fun. If you like it, great. But Ubisoft made this announcement. And I don't. I give no. I like. It's about as
don't
interesting
care.
as watching grass grow. That's how much I care. I'd rather watch my corn grow. And I'm really interested in my corn growing. I've got like 5 corn cobs coming through. I'm excited to get those going. And finally, I think we wanted to touch on, or at least me, for officially, before we sort of get into our topic at hand, is I think like the biggest weekend topic and still topic is the Doctor Disrespect stuff. I don't want to go down the like conspiracy theory rabbit hole, but there have been so many different things that have happened as a result of this.
Yeah,
People are like
the Twitch bans,
people
the
are
accusations, and the
yeah,
Twitch bans.
a lot of different, well, yeah, obviously the Me Too stuff happening on Twitch, and the just like people analyzing the last 8 minutes of his stream it is interesting. I will admit it's kind of like interesting to figure out what happened exactly, but people coming out there like trying to flow chart out the memes of the flow chart and trying to figure out how did he get banned. Well, he did, and then he picked up his phone during stream. Like, it's just kind of funny, like looking at it, just be like, guys, I think we should maybe step back and wait. And then he had a tweet, not today, but like a day or two ago, that he said he doesn't know the specific reason he got banned, which means he knows there's a reason he got banned, but there isn't a specific reason.
I
So
I I don't believe that. I'm gonna be honest. I
yeah,
don't believe that.
it's really weird. I don't know. I felt like we should at least bring it up. It's like the talk of the weekend. I mean, I was in there with a couple people in Discords, like Tricurds, for example, and we were just like, well, wait a minute, there's like a new streaming platform that's going to be announced, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, well, all the dots are connecting. Here we go. It is like, it's crazy to think of the. I don't know if he is officially the biggest streamer on on Twitch platform right now, but he's got to be like
Wait, was
top
he
three.
actually? I did not know that. I didn't. I
He's
knew he was big. I didn't know he was
he's oh
that big.
gosh, with Ninja Gone and some of the others, I think he might have been at the top with maybe one or two other people. He was definitely top five, I have to say. And somebody can somebody can fact check me on that. He was huge. So I think that's like it's a really big thing. People are like
So
really confused.
So you're thinking this new streaming service is
I thought
just
it
for
was.
Doctor
I
Disrespect?
thought it was, but I'm like leaning towards maybe no, because that streaming service does not seem like it has headway. It's called like Bream or something. I don't know. It seems like it's not even in beta, so I'm leaning towards a hard no. I think they just fortuitously
Like,
followed him, and people who are trying to connect the dots figured out it existed, and they're now sort of getting a lot of luck from these circumstances. So I don't know. It's interesting to try and like piece together what happened, but it's I think this is like one of those bands where there's just been nothing. There's nothing that anybody has said that will give us any direction into why the person was banned. And also there are people on Twitter who are like, I know the reason he got banned, but I'm not saying anything. It's like, okay, really?
yeah,
Your integrity
that's
of being a
yes.
leaker. You have integrity now. Okay, got it. You're a
Because you're
leaker.
you're a
You're a
leaker and you have
leaker, but now
integrity.
you have integrity. Got it. It like blows my mind. So I don't. Anyway, let's
Yeah, I mean,
go
it's
ahead.
it's been a whole spiral of things. Obviously, a lot of different content creators were accused. Some were guilty. Some maybe were not. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I haven't really followed the specifics on many of them. I definitely heard some stuff about Witwix. I know Angry Joe was accused, but I don't know how true that was. I'm not going to speculate on that.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say is, if you are someone who has experienced this kind of behavior, assault, sexual assault, or whatnot from these streamers, and you are coming out about it, more power to you. And I hope everything gets resolved in your
Right.
favor and that everything turns out okay. I know it. Yeah, I don't have any experience with this kind of thing, so I'm kind of shooting in the dark right now.
Yeah. I don't want to
But
like. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not gonna go too deep on this, but you know, I hope you can find help in whatever way you can and help move past this. And but also on the other side of the coin, please don't baselessly accuse people. That's just horrible.
Yeah. You got
Like,
to be careful.
just don't do it.
Yeah.
And I know, and I don't think this is necessarily happening on Twitch, but there was this one with, I don't know how recent this was, but I've been seeing stories about, someone accused Bieber as well. I don't know if this was recently, but at some point someone accused Bieber of sexual assault, basically, and it was found out to be a baseless accusation, and now he's like suing them for $60 million defamation or something like
Yeah.
that. So just don't.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to like delegitimize anything. So I just if something
Yeah,
did
no, I'm not.
happen.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
delegitimize
Yeah. Yeah.
anything either, but base it. I'm not. I'm just saying it does happen,
Yeah. No. It does.
like
Yeah.
especially against like celebrities
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but
My only point was like I've been fortunate enough as well for the most part. I think the only weird thing that happened was like it was like I don't want to go into like huge detail on it, but I think I was at like a bar at some point when I was in high school because I was in Mexico for it, and someone grabbed my butt, and that's like the weirdest thing I've ever encountered. So that's like nothing compared to this, but like there is a personal space zone that I can just like understand. Okay, please don't go into my
yeah,
personal space.
yeah,
It's uncomfortable. It's not okay. And the people that are doing it, don't do it. Come on,
yeah, exactly. The
have a
people who are
better
yeah,
have more
people who
respect.
are doing it, keep your hands to yourself. Respect people's privacy. Don't say overly egregious sexual things to people who
Yeah,
don't want it. Like, just stop. Just come on.
just don't
Be a
be
bit. Be
just
a better
yeah,
person. Just be a better person. Be
just be
respectful. That's
respectful.
it.
It's surprisingly difficult, I guess. So Okay. Let's let's see. Do we want to do any game updates for you? You talked about you're playing E8. Any other
Yeah,
games?
I'm playing E8 on the side. I'm not streaming it. I'm just kind of playing it off stream
Mm-hmm.
as a casual thing that I'm enjoying. I'm really enjoying the game so far. I think it's really fun. The story is, nothing special, but it's interesting, I would say so far. Um, and I've been playing the Kingdom Hearts 2
Yep.
randomizer as well. Still
Yep.
doing co-ops with Dodge.
Practice.
We'll be having a league race. We had a This week was the first week of the league. We had a bye this week because the team we were supposed to play dropped out after they'd already released the schedule. Um, and but we'll have our first race sometime.
Next week probably.
Well, technically, the weeks the week started on a Thursday, so it's like Thursday to Thursday. So I don't know why they did that, but that's the way they did it.
Oh my god.
So
Come on.
it'll I'm actually going to be gone over the weekend, so it probably won't be over the weekend, but an evening
Who
sometime.
thinks
Or
of that?
I, dude, don't ask me.
Who thinks it's like, well,
Can't,
we're starting on
I'm a,
Thursday. Let's just make it 7 full days. It's like, what?
why don't you start like on a Sunday or a Monday, like everyone
Yes.
else starts their
Start
week?
on a freaking Monday. I don't know. Your guys'
Anyways,
communities are weird.
we'll I'll be continuing to play that on stream though.
Sure.
I probably in general will be streaming much less
School.
now because school has started again for me officially today with our summer term, and my lectures are at 7 a.m.
Oh
So that's
man.
fun.
Nice boomer hours. I
Yeah,
love
boomer
it.
hours. So
Freaking
I'm be
love
getting
that.
up at 6:30 every day and
Man, that
trying to
sounds
go to
great.
bed a little bit earlier than I usually do, but we'll see if we succeed in that. Um,
Sounds
yeah,
like the
that's me.
dream. That sounds like the dreams. Is waking up at 6:30 a.m.
Nope.
That sounds like a dream for me.
I it's not. Please don't say that.
That's a move for sure.
I really like my like 9 to 10 a.m. wake up. I
Oh,
really
okay,
do
got it, got
enjoy
it, got
that.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I used to. I won't hopefully have to do it anymore, but waking up at like 6. I used to have to wake up at like 6:30 for calls for certain things that I won't be doing anymore because I stopped doing it. I basically just quit doing it this weekend, and that was a journey. But I think we should, for me in particular, I actually finished Sakura Wars today, so that was convenient. I'll talk about that experience, and then I still have to finish FF7R. I took like a break for that so I could finish Sakura Wars because I was having a lot of fun with that. And then I'm gonna give Breath of the Wild one more chance to wow me because it didn't the first time, and I feel like for me in particular, I'm just gonna say this. It's weird how sometimes if I have like let's say I have an opinion about a certain game, we'll say it's Breath of the Wild, and it's like everybody universally loves it, and somebody comes out and says, you know what, it wasn't the same experience for me. It's like it's an offense to some people sometimes. It's like, oh, how could you? I can't
How
believe
could
you say that.
how could you not like my
I
favorite
can't
game of all
believe this.
time?
You're
I
a
mean,
fraud. It's like I'm sorry. I
you know,
apologize. I'm really sorry.
I might react that way if someone like I know you meme, but if someone like played Persona 5 is like,
Okay,
nah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
really don't like Persona 5. I'm like, that's my favorite game of all time, man. I don't know how you can not like that, but okay, fair enough. I mean, though to be fair, I do recognize that Persona 5 is not for everybody.
It probably
It's
isn't,
kind
and
of its own thing, and it's not for
I
everybody.
just meme about it. Like I don't seriously think Persona's a horrible game. That'd just be
I mean,
stupid.
yeah,
I really don't. I just think it's fun to like mess with certain games. But yeah, like
yeah.
it's I don't know. So I'm gonna give Breath of the Wild another chance to wow me. I hope it does. I think I'll enjoy it because like the first time I did kind of enjoy some parts of it, but we'll give it one more chance.
Well,
And
we'll have to do an episode on, or at least part of an episode on Breath of the Wild, because my
yeah,
opinion on it is similar to what your current opinion is on it, in that I don't think it's that good.
I think it's like
I really don't. I think it's fine.
I just think it's okay.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's great.
But we'll see. Maybe it'll wow me. Maybe I'm like, oh, I missed this. I can't believe I missed this. And that's what I'm hoping for is maybe I missed something, and I hope I do. I hope I do miss. I hope that is the case, because I just don't want people to be like, oh, you didn't like Breath of the Wild. What's wrong with you? Are you sick in the head? It's like no, I just I'm sorry. Um, so that's the games that I've been playing. I also like Civ 6. I started messing around with Civ 6 again. I like Civ 6, and the expansions were a bunch of stuff was on sale on the Steam sale, and I got all of it, and it was really low price for me, so I ended up buying into it, and I'll have to give that a try. I want to get a multiplayer Civ 6 game a shot again, though.
I'm in for that if I can
Yeah,
find the
I
time
just
at least.
yeah, we'll just have to make sure that cheat codes aren't allowed because I know you cheat. So it's
I
it's
mean, I haven't played in a while, so maybe I won't be as good this
I don't
time. And
know.
I've played a little bit with the first expansion. I
Mhm.
have the second expansion, but I never played a single game with it. Like I
Sure,
bought it, but I never
I've
played
tried
it.
a
So I
couple.
don't I don't know the second expansion at all.
There's like a Civ that actually starts in the middle of the ocean, and you have to sail to get your first city. I don't remember the name of it actually. It's like Maori or something like
That
that.
sounds like a
Like New
massive
Zealand.
that sounds like a massive
It's
disadvantage,
it's
but
actually not that bad though because he gets such good bonuses from being on coast tiles and everything. Oh, it's crazy. I love playing that one. But it's just funny. It's like I got it once and you just like I was plopped in the middle of the ocean. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'm just like finding land now. Cool. It's kind of interesting. I like it, and I don't think it's that bad of a disadvantage. But anyway, that's like a different topic. So okay, I think that's yeah, that's most of the game updates. Am I missing something? Like, that's pretty okay. We're good.
I think that's most of the news and such for this week, at least the news that we pay attention to.
Sure,
Oh yeah, Try mentioned it in chat, but just
sure.
along with the Twitch bans, Donald Trump's Twitch channel got banned today, which I
Good.
thought was
I don't
just
know. Good.
funny.
I don't
I
know.
just thought it
Just
was
like
funny.
okay.
Apparently he did reruns of some of his speeches, like that one from I think 2016 when his initial campaign when he basically said that all Mexicans are criminals. Yeah, he got banned for that for, racial
God, good. Because it's
racial
racist. Because
discrimination
it's
basically.
racist.
So
So good. I'm sorry. I don't know what anybody's
idiot.
political beliefs are, but I'm sorry. It's good that when racists get
My
banned.
my
Good.
political beliefs are Donald Trump's an idiot.
He is an idiot.
Okay.
Even if you support him, he is an idiot. Um, so today's topics are about Sakura Wars and AI the Somnium Files. We're going to start with Sakura Wars. I just want to put a disclaimer on this initially. AI the Somnium Files conversation is going to be 90% spoilers. So
Yep.
if you want to play that game, I don't know if there's anybody who's going to be listening or watching this who really wants to play this game. I would highly suggest you watch about 10, maybe 10 minutes of what we talk about. We're going to do our best to just give a high level and then just stop. Just jump out, get out, say goodbye.
I mean, we'll give a spoiler warning when we
Yeah.
actually
There'll
hop
be
into
some
spoilers.
text.
Obviously,
It'll
there'll
be
be some
this.
text on the screen, and for those listening to the audio, we'll say, "Hey, we're going to talk about spoilers now. So if you haven't played it and are planning on playing it, then you should probably
Yeah, you
dip
should probably
out
close.
because both of these games actually, Sakura Wars, they're both visual novels." So they are very story and text heavy. Sakura Wars is a little more much more lighthearted
Yes.
and but there are a few spoilers for the later chapters in the game that I don't know if we'll talk about or not. We can. I don't know if we care so much. But AI is you can't talk about that game without talking
Yeah, you
about
have to
the
spoil stuff.
story
You
and
have
the
to
and the
spoil stuff.
spoilers. There's just it's spoilers from almost Jump Street as soon as you hit the first route split in the game. So
Yep.
yeah,
So you just just like just close maybe like smash the like button then close the video. I don't know.
yeah.
That's what I would do. I would
Or just
smash
mute,
the
or
like
just or
button.
just or just mute and leave it in the background, and then
Right.
when the spoiler thing goes away, then you can watch again.
I'd probably hit subscribe too.
Yeah,
I'd probably break my mouse hitting the bell icon.
yeah, just
Maybe like
smash it,
throw my
smash it.
keyboard while hitting follow. I'm sorry. Just like, so Sakura Wars is a soft reboot of the original series of Sakura Wars games. I don't actually know specifically. I think it was actually the mid to late '90s. This series first was released, and this is a Sega published series. So everybody's gonna have to fact check me on some of this stuff, by the way.
Yep,
And
I pulled up the
okay, got
Wikipedia.
it.
First release was on the Sega Saturn, September 27th,
Yep,
1996.
that sounds about right. Yeah, that's what I thought. So the we're gonna focus on this game though. We're not gonna talk about the other ones because I don't think Spoon and I've played any of the other
Nope,
ones.
I've not played any of the other ones, and most of them were never released in the
Yeah,
West. I think one of them was
only
released in
one.
the West, and it was like the fifth game on the PS2 or something
So
like that. So nope.
I'm just gonna safely assume all the other previous games are very similar to this one and how they play. I'm just gonna assume that. So this one takes place in it's not futuristic at all. It's like a steampunk type of of world, but it is, I guess it's supposed to emulate almost present day, almost. I think it's like 19. It looks like
but but
1940s or 50s.
but it's well, this game is 19. The first set of games is like the late 20s or early 30s. This
Yeah.
game is like 1940.
Okay,
I think it's
1940.
supposed to be. Yeah.
1940. Got it. But it's like it's got a steampunk
But it
feel to it.
alternate reality,
Yeah.
obviously, completely steampunk. Like they have mechas and
They have
stuff.
mechas and
So
they have like a
yeah,
cell phone. You get a cell phone. They call it the Teletron. It's like, okay, cell phone. So your character is Kamiyama. They just call him Kamiyama. It's Seijiro Kamiyama, and you are a 20-year-old man who just, I guess, he wasn't. He was just moved from the Navy to a division in Japan in Tokyo, right?
Tokyo
And he he gets positioned with the Imperial Combat Review
Flower Division.
Flower Division, and that's where you start. You just you get there and you're just like you've been posted there now, and you meet Sumire, who was the previous Flower Division member. She was a previous Flower Division member. Now she sort
Yeah.
of leads the combat review at the.
She is not the main character of the original
Mm-mm,
games, but she is one of the members
one of the
in
members.
of the original Flower Division from the first. The games jump around a little bit. I'll just give a little bit of background on the original games. I haven't played them, but I did watch like a video a while ago on them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the first two take place in Japan. Your main character in that game, his name is Ogami.
Ogami. Yep.
That's his last name, I believe. I don't remember his first name right now, but they call him Ogami most of the time. And main character's name is the main female character is Sakura. Um, and all the characters I believe have first names that are like named after flowers. That's kind of like a thing
That
with the
would make
game.
sense. Okay.
Like Sakura is the cherry blossoms
Yep.
in Japanese. Um, and yeah, so Sumire is one of these people, and then so I think the first two follow that flower division, and the third one is like in Paris.
Yep.
There's one that's in New York. I think that's the fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
There's
there's a
various different divisions.
yeah. So anyways, well, where was I going with this? Yeah, so interesting story that again I learned about. So Sumire, the way they did this in the original is like it's a visual novel, so it's mostly text and you make choices, and Sumire is one of the characters, and the voice actresses obviously were the same throughout all the games that they released before, and they had these like stage shows as well, and they did like singing and stage shows. And the voice actress at one point for Sumire decided she was going to retire. So in whichever game that was, I think it's the fourth game, like they have a big send off in the flower division
Oh,
for
interesting.
Sumire. And like they justify it in the game apparently that saying like, oh, her spirit power was like waning or something like that, so she couldn't
Couldn't
she
do it
couldn't
anymore.
continue being a member.
Sure.
And so, but this was built around one of the voice actresses retiring. So I thought it was an interesting thing.
That's cool.
But but
That's
any
cool.
so yeah, and I'll let you continue with the setup for the game. But Sumire is the leader of the division, or she's the I guess the administrator, I
She's the
suppose,
administrator, something like that. And
and the rest of the people from the other three combat reviews that existed in the first five games have been lost because they all sacrificed themselves in this big battle that happened 10 years ago to seal away Shadow Tokyo.
yeah, Shadow Tokyo was being brought about by the Archdemon and just demons in general, and they closed it. And a lot of the other previous members had trapped themselves there and made the sacrifice to save everybody else except for Sumire, who did not
Retired.
yeah, who retired, but also like they had like something where she couldn't go, so she stayed behind and she's now the administrator, and you're there, and your goal actually initially is just to get the the place. It's a theater. It's a theater, but it's also like it's almost like a military arm, and it's in shambles. The plays are terrible, and they have no money. So your goal is to just get money, improve the plays, which is how you get money, and just like make the flower division back to the way it was before, or just like improve its
Reputation.
its reputation, and bring it back to fame. So the current members, when you meet them, are you meet another Sakura, who's your childhood friend. You meet Hatsuho, who's the we'll say she's a I don't want to say she's got like a fire in her. We'll just say
She's a
she's a
spark.
fire.
She's the spark plug
She
of
has
the group.
a fiery personality,
Got a fire in my
extremely
belly.
confident. Oh God, extremely confident, and she's like the tough. She's more tough. And Clarice is the other one that you meet at the time at the beginning, and she likes reading. She's the, we'll say, the more intellectual type. She kind of likes to write, and she has like special powers that goes into,
She's also very pessimistic at the start of
yeah,
the
she's very
game.
pessimistic, unconfident, like almost the opposite of Hatsuho actually for that part. And Sakura is also confident, very strong-willed, and has like won't give up on her dreams. Is her
Yeah,
identity.
she's a little fragile though.
But she is, yeah, no, she definitely is fragile, but that's why she needs the confidence boost from others to to keep her up. And her and Hatsuho have like a strong relationship. There's two more members. Uh, Azami is a
Ninja.
she's a ninja. Like she's pretty much devoted to that identity that she's a ninja. She's constantly spouting ninja rules to you, and it's hard to get a strong read on Azami's personality. But she's pretty distant at first, and she just like sort of drops in and out of situations.
She jumps into the ceiling a lot and drops
Yeah,
from the ceiling a lot. It's like
yeah,
where
and
did you
they do
come
joke
from?
about it. They're like, where is she going? But she's like, but so she's that's her. Like it's hard to describe her without like you kind of have to experience it. And then the final one you meet in chapter like 2 or 3, I don't remember. Her name is Anastasia, and she is like the best, one of the world renowned actresses, and she cares a lot about her craft, and she's eloquent when it comes to that. And at first, initially, she's kind of hesitant to be helpful and be involved in providing the others with individual assistance, and that's like a whole arc with her and Sakura. So those are the characters for the flower division. There's a couple other characters. There's like a store clerk, Komachi, and yeah, Anastasia has a great personality too. If you know, you'll see it when you
If you get the joke.
look it up. Uh, so there's also like there's like a super fan Itsuki. There's who else? Oh, there's the mechanic who I keep pronouncing his name wrong, I guess. So you pronounce
It's Reiji.
Reiji. I
R
say Reggie.
R it's Reiji, so I believe it's Reiji.
Yeah. I say Reggie, but
You
it's
also
Reggie.
keep changing your pronunciation of Claris, but you know.
I'm gonna stick with Clarice. I'm just gonna stick with Clarice.
Okay. I think it's Claris, but I don't know.
Okay.
All the
Claire.
voices, like all the game is voiced in Japanese, so you can't know 100% what the English pronunciation
I'm
would be,
trying
at least
here.
on the ones that are tougher.
I'm trying. And then
Because Claris is certainly not a Japanese name.
no, it's not. No, and she just like doesn't look like any.
No,
She
she's
looks
not.
like
She's like,
European.
oh, she is. I think she
Yeah.
says she's like Scandinavian or
Yeah,
something like that.
which I
Yeah.
would believe 100%. And I think that's like sort of the main ones. Oh, there's a secretary, starts with a K, Kuro or something like that. So there's like those are like the main ones in the theater. Itsuki's like the super fan, so no matter how garbage your play is, she'll love it. And that's like I guess like the background of all the characters, and like that's your goal. That's your beginning goal. That's really it. There's not much else than that. You got to make some money. That's the goal, is make money.
Yeah, because they can't defend the city as the flower division and like repair their mechs and get new mechs without any money. So
Yeah.
they have to do the theater thing. And the theater thing is supposed to be like an undercover type thing, but I feel like everyone knows that they're actually in the military. But I don't know. I feel like it's a terrible cover, but
it's the worst
whatever.
kept secret in the world. They all know that it's a military arm.
Yeah.
but they like put on plays as like the other they do that when they're not fighting demons is the idea. So yeah, so it's a visual novel. So we'll say about 75% of the game is running around talking to characters, getting a feeling of who they are, figuring out more about the theater, figuring out more about the combat reviews. Like for Kamiyama, he's never experienced this before. And then there's also like this big thing that happens. It's called the World Games. So that's also like a really important early thing. That's not really a spoiler at all. You learn it within like 2 chapters. Is they all want to be a part of the World Games, but don't think they can. So you have to help build them up and show them and tell them, hey, we can do this. Let's give it a shot. So I think that's a pretty good background, unless you want to like dive into anything else in particular. Other
No,
and then
the only thing you didn't mention is, at least at first, there are other combat reviews that are from other regions. So the one you get to know early in the game is the Shanghai one. Shanghai Combat Review is they're kind of protecting Tokyo in your stead because you're so trash at the
yeah,
beginning. It's
you're
like,
so
yeah, you
bad.
guys, you can't defend the city because your review, like the flower division, is in shambles basically.
Oh yeah,
And then when the world games start, you meet the London and the Berlin
Berlin.
combat reviews
They
that
talk
come
about
in.
other ones too. There's some
They also
others they talk
they
about.
mention a Moscow one, but they're off screen.
Yeah, they're
So
off screen.
yeah, they are not really in the game.
But everybody bashes on you. Everybody bashes on you. They're like, "Oh, you suck."
Yeah,
They're just like, "You suck." They really do say that, like stuff like that.
yeah. The Shanghai review is weird because they're really mean to you at first. They're like, "Yeah, you guys are trash. You're useless. We got to do your job for you. Maybe you guys should just stop doing this and just not
Yeah,
just go away."
it's about what
And
happens.
th- they're they're really hard to like early,
Yeah, all of
and
them are
then
like that. Really, all of them are. All of them do that. Like the London
yeah,
group does that. The Berlin group does that.
London's a little more respectful, I think.
They're respectful, but once you get into a fight with them,
Oh,
they
into the
actually
fight.
just say you're
Yeah,
garbage. You don't deserve anything. And you're just like, oh,
yeah.
okay, wow, thanks. Um,
So yeah, the game is mostly about the characters, to be honest.
mm,
Developing the characters, learning more about the characters, interacting with the characters, and the game kind of has a relationship type system where when you respond to the dialogue appropriately, when you pick the correct answer, most of the dialogue that comes up in the game, when you have a choice, you get 3 options, and I don't know if it's like there's a good option, an okay option, and a bad option. Or maybe there are some where there's multiple bad options and one good option, or maybe they're all just okay, or maybe there's some where they're actually all bad. I actually don't know. I don't
yeah,
haven't seen the code of the game. I don't, and I've only played the game once, and I haven't tried different options in some cases. So um, I don't necessarily know, but the game tells you, it makes like a chime if you pick the right option. It makes like a wah wah if you pick
yeah,
the bad option, and then there's like
a
a
neutral
light,
one,
a kind of neutral or like a bit of a lighter chime if you pick the kind of middle option. That's like I
right?
think it's slightly good. It's like okay, it's
Yeah,
slightly positive, but it's not the best
but it's
answer.
not the dee, 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 dee. It's not like that one. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, so yeah, the game's all about like getting to know the members of your combat review and the other characters around them, and building your relationships with the characters. It's kind of honestly it's like a harem. You're basically
it
the only male
if
in the game, like with the
it
exception of the
yeah.
mechanic Reiji.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit like a dating sim to a certain
Yeah,
extent. It's a
it
very
is.
light version of it, and oh man, and then there is combat in this, so there is like a we'll call it a Dynasty Warriors styled combat system. Honestly, there's nothing else to say about that. It's hack and slash.
Yep.
It's also very light in each of the chapters. Like I would say it's about maybe a quarter of a chapter is a combat sequence. Probably less though.
They
Honestly,
get a
it's
little
less.
long. I remember for chapter 1 at least. Chapter 1 took me about 2 hours, I would say, around,
Mhm.
and combat was like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it can be really
So,
short. But they're near the end of the game, the combat becomes
yeah,
more
the
frequent.
last two chapters are very heavy on combat, so you
Yeah,
get a little bit more
yeah.
there.
But yeah, so it's there. I don't have anything else to say about it.
It's fun, it's
It's okay.
enjoyable, but It's not deep in any way. It's very much it. It's exactly as Otto said it. It's a Dynasty Warriors game. There's like a light attack button and then a heavy attack button, and depending on how many light attacks in a row before you hit the heavy attack button, you'll get a different like
Combo.
combo
Yep.
basically. But generally, what you do is kind of like in Dynasty Warriors, you just find the best one and you spam that,
Yep.
and then you have a special meter that builds up as you kill enemies and collect these like orbs,
Yeah.
and then you can use your special. And every mission you get access to Kamiyama, who's the main male character, and then one of the Flower Division members who all have
Yeah.
their own movesets, but they're very unbalanced.
Oh God, horribly unbalanced. Horribly unbalanced. Some of the
Yeah,
worst party balancing issues I've ever seen in a game.
like Claris and Azami are both. Claris is awful. She
Cla-
really has no redeeming qualities in combat. She has like one good attack.
she, for me, I think I found two. There's the jump triangle, so there's like a jump power attack, and then if you dash and then press triangle, she makes a tornado,
Yeah, that
and
one's
that's okay.
okay, but it's not great.
But compared to everything else, it's better. Like, that's a spoiler. Clarice is horrible.
Yeah,
Clarice is horrible.
Claris is just
Claire.
terrible
I'm
in
just gonna call her
combat.
Claire. Claire is
Claire, yeah.
horrible. Claire is horrible. Don't use Claire in combat if you can. And Azami is just, I want to say okay, but
She's
like
not. She has one redeeming quality, and it's her special. Her special
really nice for clearing.
is busted guard. It's honestly real. It's not good against like bosses, singular enemies, but against if you walk into a room and you're surrounded by like the whole room spawns around you. If you use her special to clear the whole room,
Yeah,
it'll literally clear the entire room, just
it's a
kill
very good
everything,
special. It's a very good.
and
Special.
then you'll get all the orbs for killing everything, and you'll maybe almost have your special again. So
Yeah, no, she is good. I agree with you
everything else she does
for
is
that.
garbage. She does no damage. She has her AOE is
It's
horrible.
horrible.
Um,
She's
yeah,
just like her special's good, but that's about it. And then we had like a tier list, by the way. So Sakura is like sort of the middle ground character. She's okay.
yeah.
Hatsuho is. Oh, I was gonna say, go ahead with Sakura.
Sakura's decent. She's your pretty standard, just sword character. She has a little bit. She has some AOE, but not a lot. I think she gets significantly better when she gets her mech upgrade, like halfway through the game. The special, especially her special's pretty good, even in both. They're
Yeah,
pretty
special's
good.
pretty good. Special's pretty good.
But she gets a little more AOE when she gets the mech upgrade and does a little more damage. So she's decent. Um,
But then there's the, we'll call it A tier. Then there's Hatsuho. Hatsuho is a bull in a china shop. She's very difficult to control when she starts attacking, but if you can get her in the right trajectory with her attacks, oh my. She's got a big hammer, and oh my, she is just a bulldozer for
Yeah.
melee. Bulldozer. And her
She's
special's
your
good too.
she's your heavy hitter. I mean, she's your kind of your heavy hitter character. She does a lot of she attacks kind of slowly, but she does a lot of damage. She has big AoEs with her attacks.
Tons of
And
them.
again, it being a Dynasty Warriors style combat system, AoE is very important. When there's a scrub enemies around you, you want to be able to hit that heavy attack button and just clear them out and just
Right.
kill them all.
Yeah.
So
We didn't say Kamiyama, your main character, like you. He's pretty good. He's like around Hatsuho level. He's got decent AOE's. He does decent damage. His special's good against like a boss. He's just like a pretty solid. He's a really solid combat character. Like we didn't say that, but I would say he's near Hatsuho's level. Not Hatsuho just has more damage. And then there's Anastasia tier. Anastasia is the most broken like character for a Dynasty Warriors type of game I've ever experienced. She's ranged. So her range is a very simple, just like fires like a pistol. Okay, she fires like 5 to 6
Three.
shots of each.
she fires three per. I believe per tap of the light attack button, it's
Oh,
three
it's 3.
shots.
Okay.
It's do. It's like
So,
a burst rifle.
It's almost 100 damage per bullet. Okay, so that's 300 damage, and then she can do it 3 times, so that's 900 damage, and then she has like a shotgun. Okay, so she does almost 1,000 damage by herself per attack. That's more than any other character.
Yeah,
And
by a long shot.
her special one shots boss, like most big enemies, not bosses, but most big enemies, like her special almost, she did a third of the final boss's health.
I think if you hit when you hit the so when the I saw you playing it earlier, but when like the hand is on the ground there, you do more damage. I think if you hit the hand with the special, I don't know if it one shots him, but it does more
It does so much,
than
but
just like
still, like
shooting him in the face.
she can like she will clear a room by herself, and her AOE isn't great, but she does so much damage it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
All
she one shots the enemies, so it doesn't
she
matter
just
that she doesn't
it
have
doesn't
AoE. It's
matter.
like
She's
pop,
so
pop, pop,
powerful,
pop,
and it's
pop.
range too. So she does like probably more damage than Hatsuho at range.
She's
So
safe.
it's
She's completely safe because you're at
yeah,
range.
it's stupid. She's everything she does is good. Like the AOE shotgun, if you're close, it is pretty good. But if you're far away, it's not great. But
Her her,
everything else is good.
her special can one shot some of the bosses. I
And
think
it's a
like
straight line shot too.
Oboro. I'm pretty sure you
Yep,
can
you
one
one
shot
shot
him
Oboro. I did that.
with
Yep,
her
you one shot
special.
Oboro, who's a boss, and then if you get it the right line, you can just everything in its line is gone. It's stupid. So that's like we just gave you the secret of combat. Any chance you get, if you want to just clear combat simply, either Hatsuo or Anastasia, you can't go wrong. It's really stupid. So,
Yep.
um, okay. Do we want to like do any sort of like going into further stuff with characters is going to be kind of
I
like
mean,
spoiler territory. So I'm just going to
yeah.
put this up
I,
just in case.
I want to talk a little bit more, slightly more about, I guess, the combat and how it compares to the original games. Again, I haven't played the original games, but apparently the original games were actually strategy RPGs.
Okay.
Um, so it was like a more similar to like a Fire Emblem or something more along those lines, as
Okay.
opposed to they went for an action
That
combat
probably works
system. So
better in that case too.
again, I don't really know how it works. I haven't played it, and I haven't delved deep into how the systems work, so I can't really tell you more than that. Um, but yeah, it was a strategy, and I don't know if there was actual like leveling up and like customizing your equipment and your stuff in that. But in this game, I I had said this to Otto earlier, but I find it hard to classify this game as an RPG because there is
Yeah.
no customization whatsoever in combat. You don't level up, you don't get new abilities other than Sakura, who gets a new mech halfway through the game, but you don't get a choice in that. You just
You
get
just
the
get
new
it.
mech.
You just get it.
You don't get new abilities. You don't level up. You don't change your equipment at all. There's no RPG mechanics as far as the combat goes. You are whichever character you're playing as that character, and they do the thing that they do, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no like I guess there's this like morale bar that increases when you do well during a single combat, and I think that improves your damage slightly when it goes up, but
Yeah. But that's not
it's
it. That's not. You
it's
know.
not that's not a thing. It's not an RPG
It's
mechanic.
just like an action style
So
game when you get into the
so
combat
that was
system.
actually kind of disappointing to me because I was expecting this to have a little bit more RPG elements
Sure. It,
than that. But
if
you know,
there's another, I think there's going to be more of this, and I hope there's a couple.
well,
I hope there's more.
I don't know how well it sold. Apparently, they made this game because Sega put out a poll a while ago. It was like, "Hey, which of our series that we haven't made in a while do you want us to remake?" And
And
Sakura Wars won,
okay,
so they remade it. They made this
I
In Japan. In Japan, it's called Shin Sakura Wars, which
Shin
is
Sakura
like
Wars.
yeah.
Okay,
But here it's just Sakura
Sakura
Wars
Wars. Yep.
because the other we don't have any of the other games. Um, so yeah, I don't know how well it's sold. I couldn't find a lot of information on that when I looked. What I saw on Wikipedia, it had a little bit on its I think first week sales in Japan. They didn't look great to me, but I really don't know. So
But
I
yeah,
mean,
we don't know.
I agree with you. I hope they make more as well, and I hope they develop the game a little more, make more RPG elements, and yeah, stuff like that. And maybe if it gets popular enough, throw an English dub in there, and um,
Uh,
yeah, and improve the. I don't know. I found the animations in this game a little awkward. They're kind of stiff. Like
a little
I
bit,
don't. Some of the character animations just feel a
a little
little
bit,
awkward and stiff to
a
me.
little bit.
Um, the production value is not extremely high on this game. The graphics are nice, but they're not stellar by any means. I think the style's good, but other than that, it's nothing to write home about. Um, all Japanese voice acting. There's no option for English dub. They did not dub the game. So if you're someone who really likes to play with English dubs,
Sorry.
sorry. Yeah.
The some of the stuff that I want to jump into though is I want to talk about some of like our favorite parts of the game because I don't want to talk about like more of the game information. I mean, at that point, just go to Wikipedia. Um, I'll start with like some of my favorite characters and maybe moments of this because I don't want to like talk about everything. I don't think that's very like that's the right thing here. And then I mean we can just like basically give impressions after that for sure. I thought that all the characters were interesting. I thought all of them had an interesting story, which is like kind of surprising for me in particular. I think when I play even like JRPGs, like some of the ones I've played, it's hard for me to get by every character and be like, yeah, this is interesting. This one had like all the characters, like they weren't so deep that you could just keep diving and diving in. Each one had like good motivations for what they were trying to achieve. Like Sakura's goal was to be like the previous Sakura, and that's like it's a good goal, and she has like convictions on that, and you eventually like dive more and more into her family. And since it's kind of like spoilers, like she her mom had passed away at the time when the conflict had occurred, and you discover that her mom sacrificed herself to save the world is the idea. And she is just like she and you end up like doing this weird like time travel thing, and she gets to see her again. It's like it's nice. Sakura's is good. Hatsuho's is great, where she's super tough, but underneath she's a turtle. Underneath all that, she's very soft. She's a very soft person. She actually lacks confidence in herself. She thinks she's worthless, and you're like the whole time you're like, really, you think you're worthless because you're like the strongest combat character. You're like really good at all these things. So you have to like go down her. I like Hatsuho a lot. Um, Claire's is fine, just like building up her confidence again and that. But
Yeah, Clara's kind of has she has her arc in chapter 2, and then I just feel like she disappears for
yeah,
the rest of the game.
she's
Like
hers is
she's
probably the
just
weakest.
there. She's just there for the rest of the game, and she does her thing, but she's very pessimistic at the start of the game, and then her big arc is in chapter 2, and you find out that she has these magic powers basically that she doesn't know how to control, and that were in the past it's runs in her family, and that in the past they were expected to be used for like war and combat and killing people, and she doesn't really want to kill people, and
Right.
so she has some confidence issues with that, and she doesn't want to use them because she doesn't want to kill people, and she gets over that. She gets over her confidence issues, and she becomes like the script writer for
Yeah, and
the
the
plays, which is cool. But
and the only thing you get with her after that is just like you're sort of like constantly reading her plays, basically,
yeah,
and stuff. And like, but she's hers is kind of weak, unfortunately. I did
I mean,
like her
I
arc,
I
but
I liked, yeah, exactly. I liked that chapter, but then after that, she just kind of disappears for the rest of the
so
game. She's just
yeah.
kind of there.
This is going to be kind of weird for me to say. I thought Azami's was probably the best for me. That was like a surprise. It was a complete surprise for me, and like the whole thing, I was just like, it made me like, it was really good. It was really interesting, like having the interactions with the we'll call it the grandfather character, and him confessing he's like, look, I lied to her. I just like found her. She's an orphan and she was looking for her parents. So I just told her, yeah, your parents are ninjas, so you're gonna have to be a ninja to get to them. And her whole like, and the thing is, you don't really like break the news to her or anything like that. She's still kind of like her whole thing though still is that she's like sort of at odds with herself and if she's actually a ninja or not. It's like the whole thing. There's like kind of different levels of it. I liked hers the most, even with Anastasia's like
I thought it
weird
was.
stuff. I liked
I
hers a
felt like it
lot.
was implied at the end of her story when they do like the summoning jutsu thing. You're like, oh, he was just messing with, or like he was lying to me, and
Yeah, maybe I don't know, but
we still don't know what happened to her parents. Maybe that part of the story was true, but like he's like, yeah, I'm not really a ninja, and she's not really a ninja. We're just making it up as we go, and then you kind of find out that
yeah.
he is a freaking ninja. Like,
So it's like really weird, and I
so
I remember that. and I liked hers a lot. Like it was kind of like it was weird because even like at the end of it, yeah, you can say to yourself, well, wait a minute, he told us all this stuff and it's really deep, but now he's shown us that he actually is a ninja. Even
He,
what's
I
going
think he,
on?
I think he does that because maybe he feels guilty that like Azami is the youngest character in the group. She's 12 or 13, I think,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone else is like at least 16 or 17.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he wants her to try and live a normal life and not be a ninja, but then she just
She just becomes
dedicates
yeah.
she just dedicates
It doesn't
herself more
matter.
to it and like finds her convictions to be
To just
a
go down
ninja
the path
a
and you
ninja.
accept it, and like your goal as well is to accept if you just want to go with and accept and support it. Again, I love it. I think it was great. It was like the one I really stuck to the most because it was just like you were all over the place. Like, wait, is this true? Is it not? Like, what's going on? What is happening? I liked it. There's still like question marks. You could come up with theories afterwards too, and if on one way or the other. That was really good, and Anastasia's was fine. It's just like her thing was fine too. I thought it was good. So I
I
thought all
thought
the character stories were
I
really
thought
interesting.
I guess maybe we don't want to say this, but I liked I liked the twist with Anastasia's. I
Right.
didn't see that coming, even though they like if you go back and play the game again or watch someone else play it, and they like foreshadow it throughout the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Like her tete-a-tete, she's like, "Yeah, pretend I'm a spy," and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah. No, it's complete
she
foreshadowing.
is."
Yeah. At that
Yeah,
point, I kind of I wasn't 100% sure, but at that point, I was like thinking, okay, I think she is kind of a spy. I think she is a spy for someone, and she's just like not letting on. It was good though. I mean, it was still good. It was you could probably catch on to it. It was good. I like that. The pacing of the whole story though is kind of weird. Where like everything it's all backloaded again. It's like it feels like East for me. There is like some build up to it, a little bit, but most of the heavy stuff happens in the last two chapters, chapter and a half. There's really not a lot of our there's like our villain a little bit here and there.
President G, lol.
President G and then Oboro coming in here and there, like
Dude,
messing
I hate
around.
it. Oboro was so annoying. I
Oboro was
hated
yeah, he
him.
was annoying. I'm glad he died. So I thought the pacing was a little off, but I think
Tends to be the case in JRPGs, to be honest.
yeah,
Tends to be
it wasn't the
backloaded.
worst. It wasn't the worst.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the way they broke it up, I liked. Each chapter kind of had a focus on a particular character, with the exception of that one in the middle that was like the World Games
World Games, yep,
chapter, the first round of it at
yep.
least. Yeah, I don't know. They like break it up into chapters, and each chapter feels like an arc of the story. And again, the beginning of the game, they're building up the plot. Yeah, there's not a lot going on with the main plot for most of the game, but they're also developing the characters. They want you to get to know these characters. They want you to care about these characters, and I think
Right.
the game succeeds at that
Yeah,
very
it does.
much. I cared about all of the characters,
Yeah,
and
I really did like all the characters.
yeah, I
There,
didn't
keep going, keep going.
particularly like their Deus Ex Machina at the
Oh
end. It's just like
gosh, that was bad.
there's just no reason for it. It's like you didn't have to like fake kill off the whole squad because you knew it wasn't real. I was like, no,
Right.
they're not going to kill off the whole squad. There's just no way. There's
Yeah,
no way they're killing off the
they
whole
tried
squad.
the fake
It's
out
like,
multiple times. They try it with Anastasia, like, oh no, she's gonna die, she's dead, and it's just not true. Then they do it again, and then the Sakura petals save everyone. Yeah, it was like one of those where like, okay, you're trying to like shock value this in there, but it's not shocking, so it's just there.
the Anastasia one I was kind of okay with because they're like they had that like DBZ healing chamber
Hmm.
thingy that was there. The other one were like they actually like 4 out of the 5 members died and then just like magic back to life. It's like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah, it's I don't know.
okay.
I
I
don't
don't.
know. That was weird. That was
They
off for
just
me.
didn't. They just didn't need to do it. They could have had them be just like wounded or like knocked out or just like, oh, they're low on spirit power, they need to recharge, and then they just could have had they still could have had the Sakura like magic thing, and it just like it wouldn't have been as bad if it did bring people back to life. It just like
Yeah,
re-energized
just
them or something
re-energize
like
the
that.
thing. Sure.
I would have bought that a lot more than like, oh, there's 4 dead people here.
Sure.
Then they just
I thought it was
revive them.
funny. I just thought it was funny. I was like,
Yeah, I
okay,
know.
sure, okay.
I mean, you knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah,
You're
I
like,
knew. I
there's
was like,
no way
okay,
they
this
actually just
they're gonna do
killed the
something
whole.
here.
There's
I
no way
was
they just killed the whole squad here.
I was just thinking, what are they gonna do? Oh, it's the soccer pals. Got it. There's one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't. There, before I sort of like give my we give our impressions of the game fully with like maybe like a review or something, like an actual rating. The tet sections, I was not a fan of the length. They felt long. They probably weren't, but they felt really long, and they
Yeah,
felt like, how do I put this without
awkward.
a little, yeah, awkward. It was a little awkward, especially with a zombie. Um,
Yeah, monk ass.
yeah. I don't want to like go into depth on it, but I'm like not comfortable with that at all. She's 13. I'm not cool with it. It was weird. It's like, yeah, I was dreading that one.
It's kind of like the beginning of it is fine. It's kind of lighthearted. It's like, all right, we're just like helping her with ninja training and stuff like that. And then it gets to the second half of it where like she gets in your face and it's supposed to be kind of like a
It's weird.
a like personal space, like romantic type thing. And it's like, nope, we ain't doing this. Nope.
Yeah, it's weird. For some of the characters, it's not too bad. Like I got to be honest with Clarice, with Claire, it was kind of funny. It's just like she like pushes you over, and then it's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. This weird like anime trope thing, sure. Like, but again, though, I can't. Zombies was weird. I felt weird the whole time. I think they were just too long. I think they needed to be the shorter. But I get the idea of them. That it was nice at the beginning when you were actually like getting the full character story there. But I'm not a huge fan of like in a game. I'm just gonna do it for my camera. Somebody going all the way up here in my face. I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
that. It's a little weird, but I like the general idea of it was fine. But it was weird having the character just come right up to the screen that far. So that was the only thing I really wasn't a fan of for the most, like generally speaking. So okay, do you want to like give your review, like actual rating of the game, and maybe like
Sure.
describe why? And I'm gonna
I
show a
mean,
graph while you're doing it because I want to show this.
we've mostly talked about the game, what it is, what we kind of like and don't like about it. Um, I think this is a perfectly enjoyable game. I think it's good, it's fun. It is not really exceptional in any way I can think of. I mean, the characters are probably, I wouldn't say they're exceptional, but they are above average or
Yep.
above good. They're probably great. I'd go to like great for that part of the game, which is the focus of the game. So they did a good job in that. But everything else is just like, yeah, this is fun. It's there. Is it that great? No, not really, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
The combat is that way. It's like it's fun, but it's pretty shallow and it's very easy actually, and there's no difficulty settings at all.
Yeah, that's true.
I also didn't talk about Koi Koi at all, which is this fun little distraction
I'll talk
mini
about that in
game
my review for sure.
that exists that I didn't like at first because it's a very simple game, but it uses these like flower card suits that unless you're Japanese and have played with this before, it makes no sense whatsoever. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty fun. Um, and yeah, the game isn't exceptionally long.
Right.
The Japanese voice acting is good to my ears, but I don't know what good versus bad voice acting in Japanese really sounds like because I don't speak Japanese. Um, Again, I think some of the animations are a little stiff. The presentation in general is not exceptional. The music, I think, generally is actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
That's another part of the game that I would say is like above the good level. Um, but it's a little it gets a little samey.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of variations. The tracks that are there are good, but uh you hear a lot of the same stuff as
That's
you
true. You
go
hear
through the game.
like three different themes basically.
There's not a lot of variety. The main theme is a freaking banger
The
though,
main
and
theme is so
you heard
good.
it. You heard it at the if you watched the very before we started talking, the beginning of the episode, you would have heard it.
And
Um
yeah, it's so good.
so yeah, for me this game is like a very solid like 7, maybe 7.5. It's good, but it doesn't really shine for me in any way to make it above get into the 8 the 8
Mhm.
range at all. I think it's a fun game. I think it's worth your time if you like this kind of game, if you like visual novels or um, character-driven stories, I guess. Just know that it's not an action-heavy game. You are getting into a lot of text, a lot of dialogue, and yeah, that is what you're in for. It is basically a visual novel with like some light combat.
Right. I agree with a lot of those points, to be honest. There are some things that I think. Um, so with the so Spoon basically gave it a 7 or 7.5, and those are pretty good reasons why. So I'm going to talk about Koi Koi Wars, because Koi Koi Wars is actually the reason why this game was so enjoyable for me for various segments. Koi Koi Wars, again, it's a card game that I don't even know the full rules for. I just know that you get like a deck of cards that they have pictures on them, and you're trying to match a specific subset of pictures to get a score. And you both players start with a score of, like, we'll say 10 and 10. So scores 10 to 10, and if I match a couple cards together that, you know, that are just right,
That,
then
that
I
make a
can
set. They're
then I
they're
can
like
make a set. Yep.
there's sets that you score points for getting
Yep.
sets, basically.
If I match a set, I can get, let's say I get 3 points. So I match a set for 3 points. I reduce the opponent's score by 3, and I become dealer. And dealers get advantage. Dealers get to go first, and they also, um, dealer's
If no
advantage is, like, if there's no cards, I think dealer
if
just
if
wins.
nobody has scored any points at the end when both of your
Yeah,
hands are empty, the dealer just gets a point. They
the dealer
win a
just gets
point
a
and
point.
they retain dealer. So
Yeah, this was like, I was shocked at how good this was. I thought this was going to be like kind of silly, and like with me in particular, just to give a little bit more background, I think mini games are dumb in a lot of the games I've played, like specifically JRPGs. And I don't want to say this is a JRPG fully, but I'm going to kind of like throw it in that bin for now. For example, Kingdom Hearts mini games generally are terrible. I literally just hate all of them. I don't know what it is. I now hate all of them. I'm sure there's a couple that I tolerate, but I'm so after
I,
I've been burned by a couple,
I think the
particularly
problem
the
I think the
okay.
problem in Kingdom Hearts is there's too many.
There's too many too, yeah.
There's too many, and there are a couple of really bad ones in there, like here and there, especially in KH3, where it's like, why is this here?
Yeah, it's
Please
just like, why
stop.
is this here? So for me with mini games, I want a mini game that I just think is fun. Like if I want to play a mini game, it better be fun. BBS, for example, with Kingdom Hearts, had a Mario Kart esque mini game. That was the
Doo
worst
doo
mini game I've
doo doo
ever played
Mario
in my life.
Kart.
It was so bad, and I couldn't beat it. It took me like an hour to beat it. It was terrible. Whoever made that up, you should be slapped. And this game put Quick Core Wars in this, and it is a mini game. And it's great. It's like
But
awesome.
you don't have to play it to progress the story. It
Exactly.
is completely optional. It's even like a separate thing on the main menu. If you want to play Koi Koi Wars, you just go to the main menu and hit Koi Koi Wars, and you have to boot up your file for the game. It's just like, and you can also be in your file and play it from inside the game
Yeah.
as well. But it's just separate. It's like, hey, here's a fun little distraction if you want to do something else for a bit. It's not like, hey, put Olaf back together. You have to do that to progress the story
Right.
in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's part of the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You do not have to play Koi Koi Wars. If you don't like it, you don't have to play it.
You don't have to play it, but you should like it. It's probably the best part of the game for me. I'm not even kidding. Koi Koi Wars got me so excited that I have to give it some redeeming value in this game. It was so good. It's an optional minigame. That's a must-play minigame. Nomura, if you're watching this, if you saw Koi Koi Wars, if you copied Koi Koi Wars exactly and put it in Kingdom Hearts, I'm in. I'm 100% in. Copy it. I don't care. Koi Koi Wars is the best part of this game. I think it by far for me. Koi Koi Wars stole the show. Now, everything else, the graphics are not perfect. I like the style, though. I think the style works pretty
Yeah,
well for the game.
it looks nice.
It is a little bit stiff. I agree.
Yeah,
I
a
do
little
think,
janky, a
yeah.
little janky occasionally.
I do like the style though. I think the textures look okay too. There are some parts where the textures actually look pretty good. So I'm going to give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for that. The textures had some positive points for sure. I think the characters are good. Like I really liked all these characters. It's like I said, it's kind of weird that I liked all the main characters in the group. And that isn't the case even with like Mass Effect and Dragon Age games. I wasn't that wasn't always the case. So I was surprised. The combat is very much a weakness of this game for me. It's too easy, and it does get a little bit, like Dynasty Warriors Gundam. It gets a little too repetitive. It's not horrible though. It's kind of a nice change of pace, but it needs to be cleaned up if there's a new one of this. If there's another of this game, clean this up. Like, and maybe add a little bit of RPG elements. I'd love that. And
Put
then
the
yeah,
combat feels very much like a side thought in
yeah,
this game. It's like, all right, we need to have some like gameplay in this, so let's just like mash together this really imbalanced, really simple like Dynasty Warriors combat.
hmm
And it's like, I actually kind of wish they'd go back and make it an SRPG again, but that's me.
I mean, the way it is right now, like I said, clean it up. I think it's fine. With the villain was not particularly well thought out at all. I thought that was really weak. I was disappointed at this villain. This was a bad villain. This was like a
The
this is
main villain with Mr. G
yeah,
or
this is a almost Corypheus level villain. Corypheus. The only reason Corypheus is worse is because I feel like they tried with Corypheus. I'm gonna give this game the benefit of the doubt and say they didn't try. Um, uh, I'm
I
trying to
liked
think of
I,
other
I
things.
liked the Yaksha, like
Yaksha
Yaksha
was
was like
good.
it was an
Yaksha was good.
interesting, like she was more the main villain than like
Yaksha
the
was good.
actual main villain who's like, yeah, I'm the
Yaksha was good.
mastermind, archdemon and stuff, and you're like, all right,
The
whatever, this guy.
Yeah, Yaksha was good. I thought if Yaksha would be the final villain, there would be more twists with that. I would have liked it more. But the President G villain, yeah, that's a snore. Not as bad as Corypheus though, so good job. Um, and then I do want to say that for me, I'm gonna I want to justify this rating. I'm not gonna give it a 7. I think this is like a sleeper good game, more than 7. I think it's like an 8. I think it might surpass an 8 for me in some areas.
Dang.
I was shocked at how much fun I had with this game. I wasn't sure
I
about it. I was like thinking
I,
about it.
I I'm surprised when you told me back in April or whenever when I started playing this that you were thinking about playing this. I'm like, nah, this ain't up your alley, Otto. This isn't
I
your
was
kind of
shocked.
game. Like,
I'm
no
completely
way,
shocked.
no way, you're not gonna like this. There's just not a chance. Too much dialogue,
There's a
way too
lot,
boring.
and
Like, you're not gonna like it.
I thought that too. I was like, okay, this is a dialogue heavy game. I'm already kind of going in with a with issues, but I was shocked. This was like the game like with the combat was weak, yes, and there are certain parts of this that feel a little bit lacking. I'm with people there. I'd agree with you 100%. If you want to give it a 7, I'd agree that that's okay. But I think this was more enjoyable than I thought. I was surprised and shocked. I thought Koi Wars was like a sleeper great mini game, one of the best I've ever played. I love these characters. All these interactions were silly and fun. I was reading some reviews on Metacritic from critics, and they were just like, I just think that sometimes people don't have fun with these kinds of games with these dumb interactions. I think sometimes people take it too seriously.
Yeah,
If
they
if
definitely do.
if
Also,
Yeah,
I feel like with some of these, again, I didn't read a lot of the reviews, but I'd looked at it at first when the game came out, and I'm like, yeah, this was a game that was like thrust on somebody, and they're like, I don't want to play this,
right.
and they just went in with a negative attitude from the start, and it's like, all right, I'm just gonna give it like a 5 or a 6 and call it a day.
I,
So,
yeah, and I don't want to take too much longer because AI is going to be, we can talk
yeah,
about AI for a bit.
I don't know, we have enough time for AI at this point,
We'll
but
extend the
we'll,
podcast like
we'll
an extra 10 to 15 minutes.
we'll get
It's
into
fine.
it.
But I think this is a really good game. I don't think it's got greatness written all over it, but this was fun. This was really fun. This was like
Yeah,
a perfectly like timed game for I think it took me about 30 to 40 hours. It had really fun sequences. I mean, it's like yeah, it's a little creepy at times. I get it. I'm like peeping on
yeah,
people in the bath is not okay.
the dating sim stuff
The
goes a
dating sim
little
stuff is a little
further than
far, sure.
we'd like
I
sometimes,
would
but
100% agree that in normal situations I would not condone such action. But this was so fun. I just like can't stress enough that if you're coming into this game serious and you're like I want to take every situation seriously,
no.
no, don't play it. But if you're
Yeah.
gonna take it lightheartedly like I did, I really think this could be an 8+ game for you. Like you'll have so much fun for 30 to 40 hours.
The first 5 the game gets serious like after chapter 5. The first 5 chapters of the game are pretty lighthearted for the
Yeah,
most part, and then you get into the serious stuff the last 3 chapters of the game when the story actually happens.
it's
Um
it's fun.
and I agree with Otto. My rating is just so for me. I'm trying to use more like I'm not using the I'm so A 5 for me would be like a mediocre game. A 6 would be like okay or like slightly above average, and a 7 to me it's a good game. I don't really have any big complaints about it, but I don't really have any like standout things of it, and that's why I give it a 7. I think
Sure.
it's good. I think it's fun. I think it's worth your time if you like these kinds of games, but does it really stand out in any way for me to give it an 8? Not really.
It for me, it kind of in certain areas it does, and the
Yep,
also the
fair
part
enough.
is it's got some potential, man. If you clean some stuff up,
Yeah,
it's got
I agree.
potential to be really good. But I mean, I don't want to go down that justification road. I think an 8 for me is very much okay. I I I'm shocked that I like this game this much. So that's why I'm also giving it an 8 because I was just completely shocked at how much I enjoy this. And so I'm sure some of these sequences are going to be weird, and maybe they'll be like tete-a-tete, for example. That might be weird for people, but I don't know. It was so fun. So I'm gonna take the spoiler tag away, and hopefully we can
Can you
transition.
can you go back to the graph real quick?
Yeah.
That
So we're
was
gonna go to
the
the graph. So the non we had a meme graph, by the way, that I didn't put up here. Sorry, I just couldn't do it. Um, but like this was the distribution of ratings for Metacritic in particular for Sakura Wars. Sakura
was
Wars didn't
this
have a
user
ton.
was this user reviews
These are
or
user
just
reviews, I
all
believe.
user
So
reviews? It's a lot
um,
of tens.
because it's not a high sample size. Like you can see, look at the left side is
Oh
the
yeah,
actual number of
10.
reviews.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times because I think sometimes with reviews, like with Metacritic in particular, people like if they like the game, they just give it a 10 and move on. Some like
Yeah,
this isn't a
I
10
hate
game.
I hate Metacritic user reviews, honestly, because there are
Me
very
too.
few that actually give what they should give. They're like, "Oh, I liked the game, it's a 10. Oh, I didn't like the game, it's a 0." It's like, "Come on, dude."
This is not a 10 game. If you go into this thinking it's a 10, you're going to be disappointed. So don't if you go into this thinking, okay, maybe this is a 7 or 8, you'll enjoy it a lot. Um so
I would fall like I think this reasonable rating for this game would fall anywhere from 6 to 8, like 6 lowest bound, 8
yeah,
highest
sure.
bound
And
for me.
I'd agree with
I
that.
don't see it. I can't see it. I mean, reviews are subjective, so someone could play it and just think as Otto said, take it too seriously, think the dating sim stuff is just way too creepy, not like the characters think they're crap, think the combat's completely boring and mindless, and maybe give it like a 4 or 5. But I think within reason, if you go in with the right mindset, like six to eight is about where you'll find like the majority of
Yep.
reasonable ratings for this game.
Yep. And yeah, don't take this game seriously. Come on, don't do that. Like you're a review. I know you're a reviewer, but don't take it seriously. Um, okay, we need to talk about AI because we spend a lot
Yeah,
of time. So
yeah, we sure did.
okay, transitioning to AI, the Somnium Files, very different game by the way. Very different tone.
Still a visual novel, which is why we packaged them together, but very, very
Tone is
different
so
tone.
different. Tone is. Let's give a really short because we have to spoiler this thing. So the background on this game is you are a detective. You immediately enter as a detective. Your name is Kaname Date. You are at a crime scene at a playground. It looks like an abandoned playground when you get in, and you are investigating a crime in which a character has been murdered and placed onto a carousel. Okay, that is the
And
starting point.
her left eye has been removed
Left
as
eye has been
well.
removed somehow, you don't know, and that's literally where you start, and you're just like, you, go. It's just like go, okay, go. You go ahead. You have like you know also that you have like a partner. Your partner is a virtual. It was an AI. Sorry, it's an AI that is a. It's like a fake eye that you get because you don't have an eye, so you get a fake eye. And this AI helps you. It has all sort of sophisticated, you know, functions, and it's very helpful for your detective work. And that's where you start. And this is like, I hate to say it, but if I go too far, there's going to be spoilers. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean
where you start.
the game is I don't remember. Yep, I there it is. I didn't remember the name of the creator, but it is created by Kotaru
Koshi,
Uchikoshi,
I guess Koshi, yeah.
the creator of the Nonary games. He is known for creating visual novels with this like flowchart style progression where you have choices throughout the game, like branching paths and choices. And once you get like to the end of a path, there either be like the end of the path route or like a lock, which is like you can't progress further until you do other things. So if you hit the end of a route or a lock, it'll say, "Hey, back up, go somewhere else, and then come back here if it's a
Right.
lock." Um, and you haven't seen the whole game until you've done all the paths,
Yep.
basically. And then once you've done everything, you can get to the true ending of the game. So this is like his style of games, and the Nonary games you have 999, and you have a VLR Virtue's Last Reward, and then there was Zero Time Dilemma, which is the third game. I haven't played any of them, but I believe the main puzzle at the gameplay or puzzle aspect of it are like escape rooms, basically. So other than that, I don't know much. There's a cast of characters. I know a lot of people die in these games by one means or another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Try is a big fan of all of these, and Try is the one who basically convinced us to play
Yep. Pretty
AI.
much.
Um, and yeah, so AI follows. It doesn't have these escape rooms. The puzzles in this game are known as somniums, and it's kind of the main concept behind this game, where you like dive into somebody's mind, into their dreams, and solve some puzzles
It's
along with that.
to be honest, it's an escape room in the mind. To a
Yeah,
certain extent, it kind of
yeah,
is.
it is a bit actually like an escape room. Some of them are kind of nice and straightforward. The first couple are pretty easy, and then there are some that are just like, why? Why
Yeah.
is that the answer? That doesn't make
Doesn't make a
any
ton of
sense. It
sense.
doesn't track. So the puzzles or the escape rooms or somniums in this game are very hit or miss for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're Some are, I think, really well put together and really fun, and really fun to solve and figure out like how it works and like what exactly you're supposed to do to progress it. And others are just like, it's a shot in the dark,
Yeah.
basically.
Agree with
And
you.
the way it works is there's a time mechanic where like performing an action, either walking around or performing an action, takes time, and you get 6 minutes total time, and you can collect these like collectibles that can cut the time that it takes to do certain things, and that's part of it as well. But if you run out of time, you fail. That's kind
Yep.
of how it works. um yeah, so if you run out of time before you complete the whole puzzle, you fail. um
But the general goal of the game is to solve a crime. That's
yep.
it. We can't really talk about much more other than like you're solving a crime, and once you start off with the first crime, which is this first murder victim, who's this woman. Um, oh my God, what's Shoko Nadami?
Shoko Nadami.
Yeah, you find her daughter, who you happen to be her guardian as well, at the crime scene, and then from there everything starts. The ball gets rolling. So, uh, other than that, I mean, visual novel style game,
Yep.
puzzles.
Lots of
That's
text, lots of text, lots of dialogue interspersed with these puzzle gameplay sections called
Yep,
somniums, which also, the somniums are where the choices happen, the route splits.
yep.
Most of the time, it's not very clear what exactly you're choosing when you pick one route or the other. On some it is, and others it's not. It's
And
just
so
like you kind of pick one and then you
and
just
you see
go.
what happens. Yeah.
Um,
So I'm actually gonna put the spoiler tag up right away
yep,
because
it's
that's
time
all
for
we can do.
spoilers. That's as far as we can go.
Um,
That's the general overview
really,
of the of
that's
the
all you
game.
can do. Okay, the spoilers tag is up. So, um, I'm not gonna go on every single part of this game. I just want to talk about some things I really liked about the game, and maybe my major complaints. And I want to focus there for now. So, for the things that I liked, I thought the characters really stood out. I liked, I think I liked most of these characters. I, I think there were some characters that I didn't initially like, and I really liked near the end. There's certain characters like I liked Iris a lot. I thought her story was fantastic. I thought that was like the best thing for me was experiencing. There's like certain pieces of her story that I think aren't don't particularly shine well, but I think her entire character, we'll say, really worked well for me. It was good. Uh, I also liked. There's another character called Ota. I liked him a lot. I think he fulfilled a certain purpose, and I think that was it was a purpose that I enjoyed. His character and like his entire family backstory was fantastic. I want to think of and there's like other side characters I liked. There's like a bartender. Her name's Mama. Great
Mama.
character as well. Mama's great. I think that those are going to be the main ones that I enjoyed most. I think the total group that I liked most was the meme team. I call them the meme team. So there's Ota, there's oh my gosh, I can't remember the girl's name, the one that you're the guardian of. Starts with an M.
Mizuki.
Mizuki, thank you. Mizuki and the gangster guy starts with a K. No,
Um, it's Kumakura's the last name,
Kumakura. Yeah, Moma
but
Kumakura. Moma Kumakura.
MoMA, yeah, MoMA,
Moma
MoMA.
Kumakura is they comprise the meme team. I love that group. That group was great. The meme team is a great group. Um, I've said before when I played this that Mizuki did get on my nerves. I stand by my statement. Mizuki got on my nerves. Aiba
See, I
also
like
gets on my nerves.
I like Mizuki. Mizuki is probably my favorite.
Her character's like the trajectory is great. I like the trajectory. I
Yeah,
like everything that
I
occurred.
think I liked her other than the actual true ending. I liked her route. I liked her
Her
route the
her
most.
route was really heavy, but it was a good route too. But she got on my nerves. So did Aiba though. Aiba also got on my nerves too. So I like Aiba as a character, but she gets on my nerves. So that's just wanted to say on that.
Yeah,
So
Ota got on my nerves the most. I
he
freaking hate
did.
Ota.
He did. They all do to a certain extent. So okay,
I
I'll
agree.
save my like stuff that I don't like for after. I'll let you go for things that
Um,
maybe you liked or like
sure.
specific highlights.
So I think I'll just mention this. I know there's not too many people watching right now, but Otto and I played this like synchronously. We started at the same time and we streamed at the same time. We played it at the same time. Otto plays things much faster than I do. I tend to be a little bit more of an explorer. I listen to all the dialogue. I click on everything. So he got through the game faster than I did. But regardless, the first route split after you get through the first like couple days of the game, and then you encounter Mizuki at the merry-go-round, and then you have the first Somnium, which is Mizuki.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we picked different options on this. So at the first route split, we were on entirely separate routes, and I went on what we'll call the crime-solving route, and Otto went on the meme route,
I went on the date route.
uh, which the true ending actually, funnily enough, ended up being on Otto's side. But
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
on the side that I was on, basically people keep dying, and you are like getting closer and closer to solving the mystery of what is going on. And then there's a couple of other routes in there, like Ota's route is on that side, and Mizuki's route is on that side as well at
Yep.
one of the other splits. Um,
Lots of people die on that route
yeah,
for specific reasons. There's a
like
reason why a lot of people die on that
like
route.
everybody dies on that route basically, except I think Mizuki is like the only one who doesn't die on that route basically.
Yes.
Um, um, but yeah, I mean I agree with Otto. Generally, I really liked the game. I liked the characters. Ota. So one of the things that got on my nerves the most in this game was just like both my parents are lawyers, and there is a lot of so your character is a detective. He's a police officer. You get like lied to. Like they either lie to you, they hide information, they tase you a
Yeah, they
couple
attack
times. They
you.
beat you over the head with a chair, and like halfway through the game, I'm like, just arrest them all for obstruction
Yeah,
of
really.
justice and assaulting a police officer because this is just getting absurd. I was like, I'm so sick of these people just all lying to me or not telling me what they know, and sometimes they have a justification like, oh, I was worried I'd implicate Iris or whatever, or I would, this and that, but most of the time I'm just like, this would have been a lot easier if you would have just told me what you knew off the bat and we could have solved this a lot faster and less people would have died.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kind of I'll say standard JRPG trope type things in concealing details of the story. Like people know things, but they just don't tell you. Like this is a thing that happens in JRPG. Like you'll have a party member that like knows stuff, and they're either like pretend that they don't, or they're just like, nah, I just don't feel like telling you. And it's like, why?
It's hard to explain. Like sometimes they give a pretty valid reason, but there's literally a bombshell of information that comes from Iris's mother, Hitomi. It's just like Bombshell probably almost solves the crime if she told you pretty quickly. Like if she had told you early, it would have like opened way too many doors. And she's like, no. It's like, no, I'm not going to tell anybody. It's like, what do you mean? This is valuable information. What do you? We need to know this. This is like literally the motivation and the reason all these things are potentially happening is because of this that you know, and you're not telling us. Cool, good job.
Yeah, classic trope. Main character has amnesia.
Amnesia. Oh,
I didn't actually mind that. I actually didn't mind it in this game. I think it was well. It wasn't like it was well explained, and it made sense why your character had amnesia. If your
sure.
character didn't have amnesia, you could have figured it out right off the
No,
fuck
sure,
the
sure. I'm
freaking
sure,
bat.
sure, sure.
So, um,
I'm with you there as well.
you know, but just all these times where like you just have to keep talking to and questioning the same people over and over and over again, and then each time you do, you get a little bit more information. It's like, well, if you would have told me this the first time I talked to you, we would have gotten somewhere a lot faster.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Like
So
really annoying.
again, they want to extend the length of the game. They want to keep it suspenseful. I get it. It's storytelling. But there were points where it got on my nerves. So I was like, just arrest this a-hole already. Just like, please, like Ota just like lies to you constantly and tases you and beats you over the head. I'm like, just arrest this guy. Like, this guy sucks. Just arrest him.
Yeah, no, he should have been arrested like way too many times. Way too many times.
Like, and I know he ends up kind of being a good guy in the end, but man, Oda just pissed me off to no end. I'm like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
this
he's
guy.
frustrating. He's frustrating.
Oh yeah, and then they like blackmail you too, and it's just like
Yeah,
you're
like
literally
everyone's.
blackmailing a police officer. You're under arrest for blackmail. Like,
Yeah,
idiot.
no, they do some silly stuff. So there's some other stuff that I wanted to mention because I want to get everything out here before I say why I give this game a certain rating. Um, the actual crime itself, the way that it's interwoven, where you like get the revealed killer, you get the motivations behind everything the killer does. I think it's overall good. Your killer's we're just gonna call the killer a psychopath. That's just gonna be the
No,
easier way to describe it.
he's a complete
Yeah,
psycho.
he's a serial killer. He is part of the serial killer group. There's actually like
He
originally two, and he is the killer, and the other guy ends up
takes the eyes.
takes the serial killer part of it, basically
Yeah,
the reason for it.
and he kills people like just because he thinks it's fun. He kills people to kill
It's
people
his
because
way
he
to
thinks it's
get to
fun.
derive feeling is
Yeah,
the justification for it, and I'm okay, I'm okay with that. I think it's fine. I think his like first kill that does like sort of get things going for him too, and the story going is good. It's like it works. I think this is like a good. I think it's like a good killer. I think the Mizuki arc, the reason why it's so heavy is because the killer gets to do what the killer wants, whereas with the Iris arc, you actually foil the killer's plans immediately, and that's why it's so much. There's so much less death is because the killer's plans get foiled and the killer makes an oopsie. He crashes his own car and like completely almost kills him. Actually, he almost kills himself in the process, and is that's the reason why like one side's so much heavier than the other. And I think this is a good killer. Is my point. I think this killer is good. I think his like the way he does the crime is really good. I'm not always a fan of like the mysterious the person, that villain that doesn't reveal himself until the last second, like literally the last second. So like with Sakura Wars, for example, I'm like kind of iffy on it, but you did see like part of that villain in the middle of it. But with this one, I'm okay with it because it's like it's hidden in plain sight. It works really well. So I do want to give credit for that. What I don't want to give credit for this game is the puzzles. These puzzles are bad. Uh, there's only a couple puzzles I found redeemable. I really like the pentagram puzzle with Iris. That was an actual puzzle. I actually had to draw out what I thought it was going to be. I like doing that. I thought that was really fun. That's an example of a puzzle I enjoy. I like just like trying to visualize the way to solve it. and I like actually doing the visualization myself. I like that. I don't like, for example, the Hitomi puzzle. That's garbage. That's a garbage puzzle, in my opinion.
Yeah, that one was
It,
bad.
that one is better as a cutscene. Just make it a cutscene. It's not even powerful when you get through it. It's actually pretty weak going through it, and then it just feels like a waste. I feel nothing when I go through that one. Some of the Somniums, you kind of like, it's kind of nice. Like when you get to say Sajima's Somnium and he's chasing Iris. That's pretty. It's like you get some idea of like, okay, Iris is being attacked by this person. You think it says, Sejima. It's just that one kind of works. Like it's you get like the picture of what's happening and what's occurring, and like okay, you're trying to help her. Everything else is kind of weird about it with like the conspiracies and stuff, but there's some meaning behind it, and that one does have some dumb parts to it as the puzzle, but I think just generally speaking, it was weird to me that I think one of the main focuses of this game was these Somniums, these escape rooms. And after a while I did not like I just was like, oh great, a Somnium. Oh great. Ugh, another one. I I think it's a pretty bad trend for me, and this is just me though. If everybody else feels differently, you're welcome to enjoy the Somniums. I don't want to stop you from enjoying them. But it got to a point where I was like, ugh, a Somnium, great, yay. It felt like it felt like it stalled everything for me. It felt like it stalled my ability to solve the crime. If the Somniums didn't exist in this game, if they were just like a cutscene, I'd probably have felt the same way about the game. For me, I don't know what it is about these Somniums, but I just started dreading them. So, particularly at the like near the end, the last one with boss where you go through that like maze of stuff. Oh,
I actually liked that one.
I can't. Yeah, but okay, you liked it, but the ladder at the very end.
Oh yeah, the end, the last part of it was stupid,
Yeah,
but the
right.
most of it was good. The very last puzzle was bad. I'll
Yeah.
give you that. I'll give you that one. But the rest of the Somnium I really liked.
Okay, sure. But just like I think my general point was just like if you one of your main components of the game is the Somniums, and for me
Well,
as a player,
that's the gameplay in
yeah, it's
this
the
game
gameplay.
because the rest is just dialogue. It's just a
The
VN
rest is just
basically.
clicking
You're just
around.
reading dialogue and clicking on things. Talking to
So
people.
my
That's it, the whole game.
most besides like the quick time events.
Oh yeah, the QTEs.
Yeah,
Lol.
I don't know. Uh, I just started not liking Somniums. Every time a Somnium came up, I just felt like, ugh, okay, let's get through this. It's kind of like sad that I got depressed whenever a Somnium came up. I was like kind of dreading them. So I think like that might be the weakest part of the game for me, and that's not good. That is not good at all. If that's the case, like for Sakura Wars, for example, I just want to give this parallel, and I want to make sure that I say this properly. The combats, like, they're a part of the game. I don't necessarily consider it like the main portion of it, but they kind of act in a certain way where it is like 25% of the game. And while they are not what I imagined them to be, I did not dread them. I did not dislike them actually.
They're just a fun.
They're just
They're
there.
just a
They're
fun
okay.
distraction. They're
They're
just
a fun
there.
distraction. I thought the Somniums were going to be that for me, and they didn't turn into that for me. They were not fun anymore. They became less fun and more of a speed bump. It was a wasted speed bump for me. So that was the weakest part of the game. I don't want to talk about other stuff that I thought was weak. I want to give you a chance here to talk about some other stuff. But when I give my number and review for this game, I want to make sure I said that right, because I want to make sure that my justification is heard. That if you've got a big component of a game and it's a letdown for me, that's not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from on that. I guess I'll piggyback off you and talk about my thoughts with the Somniums. I, as I said, they're very hit or miss for me. I'm going to say they're about 50-50, maybe 60-40, good to bad. Um, because there were a number of, like, as I said, I liked Boss's Somnium was good.
Yeah.
With the exception of the very last puzzle. I thought that one was good. Hitomi's was garbage. That
Yep.
one just didn't make any sense.
Sure.
Um, I think both irises on both sides were pretty decent.
Thematically, they were pretty good. I like them
If
thematically.
thematically they were good, and I didn't mind the puzzles in either of them. I think they were fine. I think the one on actual Iris's route was better, but
Mm-hmm.
the one on the other side of the chart was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Ota's was good. Um,
Oh yeah, Otis was silly. Yeah, I
Ota's was
thought it was
silly and
silly.
good. That one made sense. Um, 89's that one sucked. Um,
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Ooh.
yeah, that one was rough. And Ota's mom's, whose name I can't remember right now, that one was also fine. The last puzzle was kind of stupid again, but
Yeah.
for the most part, I think that one was fine.
Oh, I think Spoon. Are
Yeah,
you? Got a
I got a
You got a
spectrum real
spectrum. He
quick.
got a spectrum.
So's was, yeah, Mayumi's thematically was really good. The puzzles were,
Maybe. Okay.
again, the end I didn't like, but other than that, it was fine. So's was doo doo butter. Um, Again, thematically, I think it was good. Like the chasing Iris thing, I think that like built on the story well. But that one puzzle where you just had to like do
Oh
the
god.
fighting game thing for no
Ugh.
reason, that made no sense. It's
Yeah,
like,
I hated that.
where does this come from? How do I solve that? You just like, that's the problem with the puzzles, and there are some that are unsolvable. It's not a puzzle you solve. You just try stuff until it works,
Yep.
and if you use too much time, you just go back
Yep.
and do it again when you know what the answer is. So
Which is a pain in the ass.
so that's
Yeah.
that's my problem with the song. But like going through them all now, thinking about it, I'm like, like at least like 60% 70% of them are at least like fine to good, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
like 30% that are garbage.
Yeah. I will say
So
thematically there were some good ones. Thematically, there were some good
yeah,
ones.
most of them are good thematically. Um, so yeah, I think the Somniums are not such a sore point for me. I don't think they're the greatest. As I said, there are some puzzles that are just like that isn't a puzzle. This is just trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a puzzle to me, but whatever. I haven't played the Nonary games, so I don't know how that stacks up. Tri says that those do much better job with the puzzles, but yeah, I think the story in this game is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Other
really good.
than my annoyances with people lying to you and like beating you up and stuff like that, I think the story is incredible. The characters are really interesting for the most part, really likable and hateable. Like you hate them for a few things, and then you start to really like them when you get to know them better.
Yeah.
The characters all have an arc. I think the mystery is really interesting. I enjoyed theorizing and trying to solve the mystery on my own as I played the game. And like Try and Kuru will tell you, who had played the game before and were watching us play, I actually guessed like 90% of the stuff in
Yeah. Spoon got spectrum there.
it,
You were
which
pretty good at guessing.
um the only thing that I didn't guess was like the mind swapping thing that was
Yeah.
going on, but that's like really hard to
Yeah, but
guess. I feel
you
like,
couldn't guess that on your own.
yeah,
Like you really couldn't.
I guess they talked about it like early in the game when they first introduced Somniums. Are like, oh, they did like the egg analogy, but they didn't say at first that you could mind swap. They said that you would just
You would
lose your
lose yourself.
consciousness.
Yep.
You would just lose yourself. So I think that is a near impossible guess
Yeah, you
without
couldn't.
the game giving you information.
You
But
couldn't
anyways,
get you couldn't guess that.
I still enjoyed like theorizing and solving them. I definitely made some wrong guesses too. There were some things where I like dove a little too deep and like was going into some weird
Crazy.
rabbit
Yeah.
holes with some of my guesses, but
Right.
I really enjoyed solving the mystery as we went along. The one So we had one stream, and Otto will attest to this, where man, it was just a bad day.
Oh
I
yeah.
was in I was in a bad mood, and I finished the left side of the chart, which is the side that I started on,
Yeah.
and I went to the meme route, the right side of the chart. And the problem was the big twist, again, big spoiler alert on this one. The big twist of the meme route is, so early on in Mizuki Somnium, which is the first split, you see this what looks to be frozen Iris's dead body.
Mm-hmm.
And then not too long after that, you see that in real life in like this cold storage warehouse that's kind of an important location throughout the game. And I straight up pinned right off the bat. I don't know about the first time in Mizuki's, but definitely when we saw the body in the cold storage, like that ain't Iris. That's somebody else. It looks like Iris. It really does, but it's not her. I straight up pinned that, and that was the hook of the entire route of like solving this. And they go on this nonsense about like parallel
Mm-hmm.
universes and like these conspiracy theories. And there's this, the Iris route is just this nonsense with like the Illuminati and this like Nizitlot's garbage. And
Mm-hmm.
I just was not having it. I was like, I know I figured out the twist of the route right off the bat, and I just wasn't having the rest of the route. And the route took me the entire stream. It was like 4 hours,
Yep.
and I was just complaining, and I was angry, and I was like, "Can we just please get to the end of this?" And that route, and they go into a lot of depth on some of these things where they could have just cut that out. That route could have been half as long, and it would have served its purpose to give you the information that you needed.
Yep. Yep.
So
But they had to pad it some places.
so they they padded that one too much for me. And again, maybe if you aren't five head like me and hadn't solved the the mystery of that route right off the bat, the hook would have been a little better. But again,
I didn't actually. I didn't see that actually. But I like that they broke the fourth wall with the parallel universes. That was like a
yeah,
fourth
that
wall thing.
that
I
I thought
enjoyed
was,
that.
I actually enjoyed that after I was like, oh no, this is actually a thing because we are the parallel universe, like going
Exactly.
across the chart, like
I
going
like
back and
that.
forth.
I thought
So
that
I
was funny.
actually ended up liking that part in the end. But yeah, that whole route just, I liked the resolution of it. I liked learning more about Iris because it was Iris's route. But other than that, for me, that route was just a stick in the mud. I was actually like, the day of like after I finished that stream, I was like, man, this game was like an 8.59 for me at that point. And then I played that route and I'm like, man, that was awful.
This is
This game is
garbage.
almost down to like a 7 after that. And well, you'll see what my final rating is, but
Yeah, that
yeah.
I just
So
liked how they
that
broke the
route,
fourth wall. That's all I
yeah.
liked about it, and the meme
So
route.
that route was rough for me. But otherwise, I think I liked pretty much all the other routes. I liked the resolution of the story. I liked the flow of the game. The one other weakness I'll say is like just based on the way the game is designed, like the flowchart, you get a lot of the same information and have kind of similar or same conversations with people multiple times where it's like, all right, I've seen this before. Like, I
Right.
know what's going on here. And there's no, I think in the Zero Escape games or the Nonary games, there's like when you hit a cutscene that is the same, it tells you like, hey, you've seen this already. Do you want to skip this? And this game didn't have that. There's no like, hey, do you want to skip this? You've kind of seen this already.
Yeah.
And there may be slight differences here and there, but they could have done a thing where it's like, hey, you've pretty much seen this already. You want to skip? Yeah, okay, cool. Because yeah, just based on the way the game is designed, it's kind of inevitable. You're going to run into some conversations and some dialogue and some parts of routes that where you pretty much get the same information. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. Um, I just want to point out, by the way, Spoon caught a lot of this stuff. I didn't. I think it's better if you don't. I think it's way better if you don't because then you're just like, it's not even like an aha. See, I knew it. It's more of like a oh, that was a nice little like that was nice that I was wrong. Okay, so I just want
yeah,
to
you're
I just
just
want to
along for the ride. You're on the
I'm just
roller
on for a
coaster.
ride. Like I'm like, if I can get it, like if I catch it, oh see, I caught it. It's nice, but sometimes not knowing is even more fun because there's more surprise. Whereas if you've already spoiled your own surprise, then it like you can have a bad experience. Like really, like it can be frustrating too because like no, it's not this. You're trying to pretend I'm not surprised, but or you're trying to pretend I'm surprised, but I'm not, and that can be frustrating too. So I think that's like that's just tough though. That depends on the person. Like for me, I liked being surprised all the time and being wrong. It was kind of exciting, and it made the ending more exciting because like, oh, I could have seen this if I had seen this pattern, which is not. It's nice that a
Yeah,
game like when you're wrong, it like it shows. Oh well, I mean, if you had seen the pattern, like, oh, if you had seen this, oh well, the reason why Monica was frozen on the table was because, and then they show it. It was actually a black, and that's why Sajima was there. It was nice. It's like, okay, I was wrong, and here's why I was wrong, and here's the motivation
yeah.
behind it.
I mean,
That's cool.
I like being surprised too. I love a good plot twist as much as the next guy, right?
Yeah,
But I don't know. I can't help my brain when I play a game like this trying to figure it out as I
yeah,
go along. Like I'm a very logical thinker generally, and I just try to connect the dots
yeah.
on
I mean,
my
that's
own.
that's
And I
fine.
wasn't always right, and I did not get everything. You know, there are some things that are either really hard or impossible to guess. And like you were talking about, like it would be really hard to guess like why in that case So went to the warehouse that night.
It would just be like impossible
You
at
kind of
that
need to
point.
know that like Hitomi had, you know, messaged him
Yeah.
about
Oh,
that.
Sajima had not a lover. He had a mistress, and they were trying to shock him and blackmail him and help pay Bunny, and then you like see her talking to Sajima at some point too. It's like an offhanded thing, and it's like again, it's like you don't necessarily notice it right away and think it's one thing. You think it's one thing, but there's like a different reason behind it. It's like it's all really like I think there's a lot of cool nuggets there. So
Yeah.
I'm actually comfortable giving my rating on this game. Is there anything else you want to mention or point out?
Nope. I
Okay.
mean, we could spend hours like talking about the entire story, but I think we've hit the main points. We've hit what we need to say, what we like and don't like about the game, and we talked about a few spoilers, but we didn't dive
We didn't
too
dive
deep
too deep. I
into a
mean,
lot of it.
yeah, I feel like it's good if we don't do too many spoilers, just do enough where somebody would still be interested. Um, so for me in particular, this is a visual novel game. I think like again, the characters shine like there's no debate. The characters are great. And I think the again the villain here. I'll just talk about the villain again. I think the villain's good too. I think he works. I think I don't want to say he's interesting because I don't think he's interesting, but I think he works well in the context of the crime. He works well as the perpetrator of this crime, but I don't think he's a particularly interesting individual. I'm sorry, he's a serial killer. He's a psychopath. There's only so much intrigue I can gather
He's
from his backstory.
he's not really important for most of the game. Like you know
Right.
there's someone in the background doing these murders, but
Yeah, and I don't want to
yeah.
say like crazy villains can't be interesting. Like I think the Joker's a very interesting villain, but in the context of the hero, and in this case, in the context of the hero, yeah, they like swap bodies and all this, and you're actually in the villain's body, but that doesn't make it interesting for me. So I'm not going to give it credit, but I do think the villain is like a good villain for this. I think the crime itself, like the way they piece it together, is really great. I don't think the puzzles are good at all. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say an overarching puzzles are bad. I like thematically some of these puzzles. The themes on like Iris's puzzles and when you actually on the Mizuki route go into the killers unknowingly, the killers Somnium, I think the theme is great there. I think the Ota's mother is like a powerful Somnium. The Miyumi Somnium is so powerful, and I really love that whole story. As a side note, I feel bad that the dad looked silly because I kept making fun of the dad being silly looking, because he just looks so stupid looking. But the puzzles, the problem with this game for me is that the puzzles are a big component of this game. Again, if the Sakura Wars combat was just inherently fundamentally broken and bad, and I hated doing it, I wouldn't have given that game an 8. I definitely would have given it something far lower, maybe like again like maybe a 6, like something like that. The puzzles in this game feel like it's an important component of this game, and for me, when I give a rating on something, it's also derived from my entertainment value. And if you're spoiling my entertainment value from your, we'll say from something that I didn't enjoy, which is these puzzles, it's frustrating because these puzzles, the like I said, there's a couple good ones. Like I like the pentagram one. That is a thought provoking. I won't say thought provoking, but it's a puzzle. But when the game boils down to when the puzzle boils down to more trial and error, I don't like that. I don't like it in D&D either, for example. Anytime I see puzzles that are trial and error, I get annoyed. So I think a puzzle that becomes trial and error is a problem for me. So I think that's a pretty bad hindrance. I don't know about the music. I never heard music. I was going to comment like I never heard music in this game. It seemed pretty light. So I mean, whatever.
It's background
Yeah, it's background
mostly.
music. I thought it's, it's whatever. I was just trying to think of other things that I wanted to say.
It's unintrusive.
Yeah, but I do think that because the puzzles are such a hindrance, everything else is great. Like if the puzzles were okay, I'd probably say this is like a almost 9.5 level, like almost 10. The graphics also, I just want to say also that the graphics, they're tolerable. They're nothing special for me. Uh, it's just like I don't know. I have nothing else to say about the graphics. The graphics in this game are not. They're definitely not breaking any barriers here. So I'm gonna say this is a 8.5.
That's higher than I thought you were gonna go.
The puzzles actually decreased it by 1. I was close to giving it an 8, but I think this game is fundamentally a little bit better than Sakura Wars for me. But I think 8.5 is my generous because I did love the detective side of it. The detective side of it was great.
Okay, so I guess I'll go and then we'll get out of here. Um, we've talked about most of what we liked and didn't like. The puzzles are hit or miss. Puzzles are hit and miss. Yeah, the graphics are there. They're not great. They're not terrible. The music is unintrusive. Um, the story and the characters carry this game 100%, and those are outstanding for the most part. Exceptional, like pretty much the main plot and the characters are pretty much 10 out of 10 levels for me. It was really fun to be along for the ride, try and solve the mystery on my own, and be surprised with the
Yep.
twists when they happened. Yeah, the puzzles are hit and miss, and the few things that mar this game for me are the length and the drag of the iris route, which I talked about already. I just, God, that route was a slog. It was just a slog for me, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was, as you said, it just destroyed my. I streamed for 5 hours that day, around 5 hours, and when I finished, I got up and I was just angry. I'm like, I had no fun
Oh,
this
it ruined
past
the
five
day.
hours.
It ruined the day.
It literally ruined my day. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. That stream ruined my day. So that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
But other than that, I enjoyed my time with this game very much. Even the kind of rough puzzles, like they're not the somniums aren't that long, and you have to like redo them. Fine, and you just know the answer and you finish it. So whatever, it's fine. So yeah, my big complaints are the iris route, which literally ruined a day for me, and just kind of the annoying like storytelling devices that they use to conceal things, and
Right.
just some of the annoying actions that the characters take throughout the game, like continually lying to you and hiding the truth from you and assaulting you and blackmailing you, and it's just like, all right, we're doing ring around the rosy right now, and it's getting a little obnoxious. So I was kind of going on a whole point scale. So if I had to give it a whole point as like 7, 8, 9, I would give it an 8. I don't think it's quite good enough to be a 9, but
Mm-hmm.
on a half point scale, I agree with you. It's an 8.5.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so yeah,
I have a
I
side comment actually. I want to say one side comment. It's not going to necessarily affect my rating. I just want to make a comment from this game, and I don't want to necessarily compare it to something else. Okay, let me say this. I don't want to go too long on this. Like with Sakura Wars, we already talked about how it's like there are segments where somebody could conceive it as creepy, and there's like fundamental reasons for that, and it's weird. This game, it's weird that everything boils down to like a lot of the random jokes and humor. Like he gets powers from porn magazines. Like,
Yeah, and literally
yeah,
every male character in the game, and maybe even some of the females too, are just like, if porn is involved, they are just distracted by it 100%, no
yeah.
matter what they're doing. It's
It,
just
it's a
I
little,
didn't I
it's a
didn't
little
get it.
overboard.
It's weird.
It's
It's just
overboard,
weird.
and I don't care if it's the person's style. Don't come to me as no, it's just their style. Okay, that's fine. That can be your style, but not everyone is like constantly perverted. Like, I don't know what
Yeah,
it did
I,
start to rub me the wrong way.
yeah, same. I thought it was just kind of be gonna be a bit of a running joke between Aiba and Date, and I was like, all right, it's there. I don't really like it, but it's kind of unintrusive. Other than it's a little annoying, and then it kind of becomes like a main gameplay mechanic during the QTEs. Like most of the QTEs, there's like a porno mag involved somewhere in it, so it's like, can we? Why?
It
It's
actually for me didn't become funny anymore. I think that
no,
like the guy
no, it
thought it was
wasn't.
like funny, and he's like it's like
No,
one
it
of those
wasn't fun.
things where it's like the first couple times as a joke, it's funny. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, this is silly and stupid,
And
and
then it
then they
just gets
do it the
annoying.
10th time, and you're like,
Okay, this is just annoying.
try a
Stop.
different joke. I almost want to tell the guy to his face, you should learn a different joke, because this one died really fast. You killed it real fast. So maybe if you do, maybe just like lay off a little bit too much on the like the sexual jokes. I think there's like it's a little too much. And like I said, I got annoyed with Iba. I got sick and tired of every time I like Date saw a female. She's like, Date, your blood pressure's rising. Are you getting hotter? It's just like, come on, like, stop. It's too much. Every time I see a woman, it's not like an immediate like, oh, I'm attracted to her immediately. It's like, no, relax. So I just wanted to make that side comment.
Yeah,
It got too far.
that's fair. That's 100% fair. But yeah, again, similar. I think again, these games, both of them are not for everybody. If you don't like super dialogue and plot heavy games, you're not gonna like this. I wouldn't recommend this game to someone who is
Right.
like a huge Call of Duty player or something
No.
like that, who just like likes playing shooters and killing things, because there ain't that in these games.
I'm gonna
But
show
if
the
you really
graph by
like
the way. Keep
you
going.
really like great stories, great characters, and can handle 30 hours of dialogue, then you're there. Wow,
So this is
holy
the
moly,
distribution. Everybody gave it a 10.
that a lot of
I gotta be
tens.
honest. With the people, all these people giving it a 10, I think you're overselling the game. I'm gonna disagree with all these tens, all of them, every single 10. I disagree with.
I can see it being in like, again, if it didn't have that one rough route for me with Iris, it's an easy
Yeah,
9. But that route for me bumps it down to an 8, because
yeah.
it was just such a slog for
I
me.
I just can't
But
give this a 10 when I know the puzzles are not particularly good for me.
yeah, the puzzles are not
It
exceptional in
it's like
any way.
it is like a main it's a like main component of the game. If it's not fundamentally perfect, why give it a 10? It's just
I
like
mean,
so you
a,
believe that it's fundamentally
a
perfect?
game to me, a game does not have to be perfect to be a 10. But if it really has any major flaws that are hampering my enjoyment of the game, it's probably not a 10.
Right. Okay,
Like
that's fair. That's fair. So, anyway,
like 10 being perfect is nothing is perfect, right?
right. I mean
So
like but the idea is like okay, do you really think these puzzles are a 10? Like do you really think they're this good? Is it like so good that like even by itself it could probably stand alone? Like I don't know, like yeah, that's such like a crazy thing. I'm glad that like we have some of these graphs by this we can look and be like, really? So many tens.
again, that's a little more skewed than others, but Metacritic is like, I liked this game 10. Metacritic user reviews, I like this game 10. I didn't like this
I
game
didn't like it
0.
0. It's just like
So
guys, there's enough. There's more than two numbers. I can guarantee that. There's more than
yeah,
two. Um,
in my opinion, almost no game should get a 0 unless the game doesn't
unless
boot.
you
Like
literally can't play
calling
it.
a game a 0 is like, this isn't a video game. It's like it crashes on
it
boot
doesn't.
or
It
something. It's like
doesn't
it
boot
doesn't even
properly.
boot up. Like
The only thing I
that's
can
a
think of,
0.
yeah, It's like
uh,
maybe big rigs, like because it
even
didn't actually play.
it's a game, so it's a one. Like that's at least how I see it.
Yeah,
Like I never played Big Riz. It looked awful, but like it's a game. You can play it, so it gets a one.
yeah.
Like
I mean, you technically could. You couldn't actually complete it properly, but
fair.
but anyway, um,
Yeah.
all right. I think we've extended this a little bit extra. That's okay though. Uh, AI saw me if I was just play it. I would play both the games to be honest. 999 when for me, I don't know.
I'll
I
play it at some point. I do own it, but I'll play it at some
I don't
point.
know. For me, I don't know. Like I said, it's not like I'm not gonna go out of my way right now. I'm too busy with other stuff that I think I'd like to try or commit to. But I think both the games we've talked about today are good. I like them. For me, I think Spoon likes them. If you enjoy visual novels, I would try both these games, but for sure I would try AI at least because that's I think that one's like a really fun detective game experience. Sakura Wars, I think it might be an acquired taste also, so just be
Yeah,
careful.
as Otto said, just go in knowing what you're getting. Right?
Yeah,
Can't take it too seriously.
yeah, exactly. So we appreciate people who watched, or if you're listening after the fact, we appreciate it, and we certainly hope that if you do try these games, you enjoy them, or at least give them an honest shot and see how you like it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. It's whatever. And be sure to continue to support us. For me personally, all the Myriacast updates typically come from my Twitter. My Twitter is Automaton, the name you see here, but AUTOMATON 89. That's the Twitter handle, and you can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/automaton 1989. And also consider supporting the Myriathon socials, the Myriathon Twitter. Search and subscribe and like the Myriathon YouTube videos, and for Anchor, just continue to listen. We love the support. So Spoon, anything else?
Nope. You know, you can follow me on Twitter or Twitch if you want at SPTspoon, as you see it here on the screen. That's it. We appreciate everyone who watches and or listens, and yeah, we'll see you next week. It's
Yep.
been fun.
Have a wonderful evening or day or for wherever you are. Thanks.